Once again, welcome to Street Lit Audiobooks. Make sure to subscribe and let me know where you from. Got a banger for you. Manufactured silence. Jax Harlan is a former Delta Force CIA convert who just want to be left alone. But somebody just tried to assassinate him. Now they done woke up the devil.
Mama asked me why I don't sleep like before. I tell her I'm fine, but I'm lying for sure.
Chapter 1. The bullet came through the windshield like a fist through paper. It punched a fist-sized hole dead center, spiderwebbing the glass in every direction. The sound followed a half-second later. Sharp, wet crack. I was already yanking the wheel left before my brain caught up. The black Tahoe fishtailed across 3 lanes of I-65 southbound, tires howling against rain-slick asphalt. Horns exploded around me like fireworks. Another round slammed into the passenger door. I felt the vibration through the seat, felt the heat of the round as it tore metal. I floored it. The speedometer climbed past 90. Birmingham's downtown lights smeared into neon streaks, red, blue, green, reflected off wet streets. My heart was trying to punch through my ribs. In the rear view, 2 sets of headlights stayed glued to me, blacked out SUVs, no plates visible. Pros, military-grade driving. They weren't even trying to hide. "Who the hell are you?" I muttered to the empty car. No answer. Just more gunfire. A 3rd round punched through the rear window, showering glass across the back seat. I swerved right, cut across the HOV lane, nearly clipped a white delivery van. The driver laid on his horn like it would help. I took the next exit ramp at 60, tires screaming. The ramp curved hard left toward 20th Street. I used the momentum, drifted the turn, rear bumper kissing the guardrail. Sparks flew. The lead SUV followed, too close. I slammed the brakes, hard. The Tahoe locked up. They didn't have time to react. The front of their vehicle smashed into my rear at 40 plus. Metal screamed. Airbags detonated in their faces like twin punches. I kicked the driver's door open before the Tahoe even stopped rocking. Rolled out low, Glock 19 already in my hand, suppressor screwed on. 2 men spilled from the wrecked SUV, black tactical gear, silenced MP5s. They moved like they'd done this before. I didn't give them a second chance. 2 shots. Center mass on the first guy. He dropped like a sack of wet cement, MP5 clattering. The second dove behind their crumpled hood, firing blind. Rounds sparked off the pavement near my feet. I rolled left, came up behind a dumpster. Sirens wailed in the distance. Birmingham PD, maybe 2 minutes out. I didn't have 2 minutes. I sprinted for the alley mouth. Blood trickled from my nose where the airbag had smashed me. Didn't matter. This wasn't random road rage. This was payback for what I did 3 weeks ago in Atlanta, and it was only the beginning. I kept moving. Alleys turned into more alleys. Birmingham at night is a maze if you know where to go. I'd grown up here. I knew every shortcut. Behind me, more tires screeched. Another vehicle. They weren't giving up. I vaulted a chain-link fence, landed hard in a vacant lot overgrown with weeds and broken bottles. My knee screamed. Old injury from Kandahar. I pushed through, out the other side, onto 2nd Avenue North. A late-night bar spilled music and laughter onto the sidewalk. I slipped inside, blending with the crowd. Hood up, head down. Bartender gave me a look. I slid a 20 across the bar. Jameson? Neat, he poured. I downed it in 1. The burn steadied me. Phone buzzed in my pocket. Burner. Only 1 person had this number. I stepped into the bathroom, locked the door. "Harlan?" The voice said. Old, tired, familiar. "Crow," I answered. "They found me." "I know. Change of plans. Tell me." "Target is in Birmingham tonight. Gala at the McWayne Center. Dr. Victor Kane. He's the money behind Eclipse. Kill him. In this." I stared at my reflection in the cracked mirror, blood on my lip, bruised cheek. Eyes I didn't recognize anymore. You want me to assassinate a civilian in public? He's not civilian. He's the architect. Do it, or Mia's next on the list. Click. I crushed the phone in my fist. Plastic cracked. I dropped the pieces in the toilet. Flushed. Then I walked out into the night. One clip left. One mission. One sister. And a whole lot of people who wanted me dead. Chapter 2. 3 weeks earlier. My name is Jax Harlan. 38, 6'2", 190, scars on scars. Ex-Delta. Ex-CIA cleaner. Now just a ghost trying to stay off every grid in Alabama? I lived quiet. Small house outside Birmingham, off Highway 280. Gravel driveway. No neighbors close enough to hear screams. Garage in back where I fixed cars for cash under the table. Cash only. No questions. Avoided mirrors. The eyes looking back weren't kind. That Tuesday the phone rang. Burner. Unknown caller. I answered anyway. Harlan, the voice said. We need you one last time. Director Elias Crow. The man who'd recruited me at 22 after I came back from my first tour with more confirmed kills than most platoons. The man who'd left me for dead in Kandahar when the mission went black. No, I said. Listen first. Your sister, Mia, she's in trouble. My grip crushed the phone. Mia, 29. Pediatric nurse at Atlanta Memorial. Never hurt anyone. Never asked for anything. The only family I had left after Mom died, and Dad drank himself into the ground. What kind? Someone took a contract on her. High 6 figures. They think she saw something she shouldn't have. Who? Doesn't matter yet. Get to Atlanta Memorial. Tonight. Protect her. We'll handle the rest. I hung up. Grabbed the go bag under the bed. Suppressed M4, ceramic plates, cash, fake IDs, burner phones, medical kit, extra ammo. Drove north. Rain started halfway. I didn't know it then, but Crow was lying. He always lied. Chapter 3. Atlanta Memorial Parking Garage, Level 4, midnight. The fluorescent lights buzzed like dying insects overhead, casting long, sickly yellow shadows across rows of parked cars. The air smelled of motor oil, stale exhaust, and the faint metallic tang of rain that had leaked through cracks in the concrete ceiling earlier in the evening. I stood in the stairwell shadow, back pressed to cold cinder block, Beretta 92 FS already in my right hand. Suppressor threaded on, thumb resting just off the safety. My breathing was slow, controlled, Delta habit that never quite left. Heart rate elevated but steady. I'd been here 47 minutes, watching the elevator numbers tick, listening for the distinctive squeak of the heavy fire door on level 3 that Mia always used when her shift ended. She hated elevators at night, said they felt like traps. Smart girl. Footsteps finally echoed up the stairwell. Light, quick, the familiar rhythm of white nursing clogs on concrete. Then her voice, soft, tired, but still carrying that little laugh she'd had since she was 6. Yeah, Mrs. Carter's kid finally stopped crying after the 3rd round of Motrin. I swear that boy has lungs like a linebacker. Another voice answered. Female, younger, probably another nurse. You're a saint, Mia. I'd have lost it 2 hours ago. They were coming up. Close now. I eased forward just enough to see the landing below. 2 figures rounding the turn. Mia in pale blue scrubs, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, stethoscope still draped around her neck like a necklace. The other nurse, short curly hair carrying a lunch bag, was walking beside her. Everything looked normal, too normal. Then the stairwell door on level 4 opened behind me. Quiet, deliberate. Not the casual shove of someone leaving work. I didn't turn my head. Peripheral vision caught black tactical pants and boots moving in. 2 men, gloved hands, one already drawing what looked like a suppressed SIG P226. The other held something small and cylindrical in his left fist. Syringe. No hesitation. I pivoted, dropped to one knee, brought the Beretta up in a smooth 2-handed grip. The first man saw me too late. Pop, pop. 2 rounds center massed through the plate carrier. He staggered backward, hit the railing, went over. A wet thud echoed from 3 stories below. The second man spun toward the sound, raising his own weapon. I was already moving, low, fast, closing the distance before he could reacquire. I drove my left shoulder into his solar plexus, felt ribs gave, then slammed the butt of the Beretta into his temple. He dropped like a marionette with cut strings. The syringe rolled across the concrete, needle glinting under the lights. Down on level 3, the footsteps had stopped. Mia's voice, sharp now. What was that? I vaulted the railing, dropped the last 6 feet, landed in a crouch between the two women. Mia's eyes went wide. Recognition hit her like a slap. Jax! The other nurse screamed, short, startled. I grabbed Mia's wrist. Move! She didn't argue. We ran. Down the remaining stairs, 2 at a time. Alarms hadn't started yet, but they would. Hospital security would be slow. Maybe 30 seconds, but 30 seconds was forever in a kill zone. Level 1. Emergency exit door. I hit the crash bar. Rain slapped my face as we burst into the loading dock area. A black Suburban idled 20 yards away. Lights off, engine purring, Crow's people. Exactly what he said it would be. I yanked the rear door open, pushed Mia inside. She slid across the leather. I jumped behind the wheel, slammed it into drive before the door even closed. Tires spun on wet asphalt. We fishtailed out of the dock, merged onto the access road, then hit Peachtree Street doing 60. In the rear view, 2 security golf carts racing uselessly behind us, lights flashing. No pursuit yet. Mia was breathing hard in the back seat. Jax, what the hell is going on? I kept my eyes on the mirrors. Later. No, now. Her voice cracked. Those men. They were going to... I know. She leaned forward between the seats. You killed them. I stopped them. Silence stretched. Rain hammered the roof like machine gun fire. She finally spoke again, quieter. You haven't changed. I glanced at her in the mirror, bruised cheek from where one of the men had grabbed her. Eyes red, scared, angry. I never said I did. I answered. We drove north on the 85, then cut east toward the 20. No tails yet. Crow's people had swept the road ahead of time, clean. After 20 minutes, Mia spoke again. Where are we going? Safe house, outside Macon. Who's we? Crow. Her whole body tensed. Crow? The same Crow who... Yeah. She stared out the window at the blurring pines. I thought you cut ties with him after Kandahar. I did. Then why? Because he said they were coming for you. She laughed, bitter, short. And you believed him? I believed the part about you. More silence. The Suburban 8 miles. Exit signs flashed past. Finally, she asked the question I'd been dreading. What did I see, Jax? What did I do that's worth this? I gripped the wheel tighter. You treated a patient, a janitor at one of the CDC annex buildings. He came in sick, really sick. You drew blood. You sent samples to a colleague because the lab results didn't make sense. She nodded slowly. Yeah. He died 3 hours later. Hemorrhagic fever presentation, but the PCR came back negative for everything in the book. I sent the extra vials to Dr. Patel at Emory. Thought maybe it was something new. It wasn't new, I said. It was engineered. She turned to look at me. Engineered. Project Eclipse. Off-books DOD program. Bioweapon designed to look like a naturally occurring pandemic. Airborne. 92% lethality in trials. They were testing it on low-visibility targets. Janitors. Maintenance crews. Plausible deniability. Mia's face drained of color. You're telling me I accidentally stumbled into... You sent those samples out. Someone intercepted them, or Patel talked. Either way, the people behind Eclipse decided the leak had to be plugged. Starting with you. She pressed her palms to her eyes. Jesus, we get you somewhere safe, I said. Crow's team neutralizes the contract, then we disappear. Both of us. She lowered her hands. Looked at me for a long time. You really think Crow's gonna let us walk after this? I didn't answer, because I didn't know. And deep down, I already suspected the truth. Crow never let anyone walk. We reached the Macon safe house just before 2 a.m. A nondescript ranch-style house off a county road, surrounded by pine trees, gravel drive. Motion lights came on as we pulled up. Crow waited on the porch. White hair, charcoal suit, no tie, hands in pockets like a man waiting for a late dinner guest. I killed the engine, stepped out. Mia stayed in the car, watching. Crow looked past me at her, then back to me. "You're welcome," he said. I closed the distance in 3 strides, grabbed the front of his suit, slammed him against the porch post. Wood cracked. "Talk," I growled. He didn't flinch, didn't even blink. "Project Eclipse," he said calmly. "Weaponized Marburg variant. Incubation 12 to 36 hours. Symptoms mimic Ebola, Lassa, Hanavirus. Take your pick. Designed to be released in major transportation hubs. Subways, airports, shopping districts. Panic spreads faster than the virus." I tightened my grip. "And my sister, she treated patient 0 in the trial. Drew blood, sent it out. The people who funded the program, private consortium, names you'd recognize if I told you, decided silence was cheaper than exposure. Who put the contract out? Doesn't matter yet. It matters to me." Crow smiled thinly. "You'll get your shot at them. But first, we need to cut the head off the snake." I released him, stepped back. He straightened his jacket. Dr. Victor Kang, former CDC division chief, now private consultant. He's the money man. The architect. He owns the patents, controls the funding, and has the only remaining clean samples of the weaponized strain. We take him out. The program dies. I stared at him. "You want me to assassinate a high-profile civilian in public?" "He's not civilian anymore. He crossed that line years ago." Crow pulled a thumb drive from his pocket, tossed it to me. "Everything's on there. Timetable, locations, security details, gala at the McWayne Center in Birmingham 3 weeks from tonight. Kane will be there. Keynote speaker, perfect opportunity." I caught the drive, didn't look at it. "Why me?" "Because you're the best killer I ever trained." He paused. "And because if you don't, they'll keep coming for her. Then for you. Then for millions." I glanced back at the Suburban. Mia was watching us through the windshield. Crow followed my gaze. "One last job, Jax," he said softly. "Then you're free. Both of you." I didn't believe him. But I believed the threat. I believed the look in Mia's eyes. I believed the syringe still lying on the parking garage floor 3 counties away. So I nodded once. Crow smiled again, small, satisfied. "Good. Get some rest. We start planning tomorrow." He turned and walked inside. I stood on the porch a long time, rain dripping off the eaves, thumb drive burning a hole in my palm. Inside the car, Mia waited. I opened the door, slid into the driver's seat. She didn't speak right away. Finally, "You're gonna do it, aren't you?" I started the engine. "Yeah," I said. "Because of me." "Because of us." She looked out at the dark pines. "I never asked you to be my hero, Jax." "I know. But you always were anyway." I put the Suburban in drive, pulled around the house to the detached garage, killed the lights. Sat there in the dark with my sister beside me, knowing that whatever came next, nothing would ever be the same. Knowing that Crow was using us both. Knowing that the people behind Eclipse had deeper pockets and longer memories than anyone I'd ever faced. Knowing that 3 weeks from now in Birmingham, I would have to pull a trigger in a crowded room full of witnesses. And knowing, deep in the place where instincts live, that when the moment came, something would go wrong. Very wrong. I just didn't know yet how wrong, or who would be holding the other end of the gun. Chapter 4. The safe house smelled like pine cleaner, old coffee, and the faint metallic edge of gun oil. It was one of those mid-90s ranch styles that blended into every suburb in middle Georgia. Beige siding, 2-car garage, chain-link fence half hidden by overgrown yopon holly. From the road, it looked like any retired couple's retirement dream. Inside, it was a kill box dressed up as domesticity. Reinforced steel door behind the flimsy-looking front one. Bullet-resistant film on the windows. Motion sensors every 6 feet. A Faraday cage in the master closet to kill cell signals when needed. Crow's people didn't do half measures. I parked the Suburban in the garage, killed the engine, and sat there for 10 seconds listening to the ticks of cooling metal. Mia hadn't spoken since we pulled off I-20. She was staring straight ahead, hands folded too tightly in her laps, knuckles bone white. I reached over, touched her forearm. She flinched. "Sorry," I said. She shook her head. "Don't. Just give me a minute." I gave her the minute, then another. Finally, she unbuckled, opened the door, stepped out. Her scrubs were still on, stained with what might have been coffee or blood from the parking garage scuffle. She looked smaller than I remembered, like the world had already started grinding her down. Crow was waiting just inside the kitchen door. Same charcoal suit, sleeves rolled now, collar open. He held 2 mugs of coffee like peace offerings. "Black for you," he said to me. "Cream and 2 for her." Mia didn't take hers. I did, mostly to have something to do with my hands. The ceramic was hot enough to burn. Good. Pain kept you sharp. Crow gestured toward the living room. "We should talk." The living room had been stripped to essentials. Long oak table, 6 metal folding chairs, laptop, projector, corkboard already pinned with photos and timelines. No couch, no television, no distractions. I pulled a chair for Mia. She sat without looking at me. Crow took the head of the table. I sat opposite him. He opened the laptop, tapped a key. The projector hummed to life. First slide. Grainy security still of a middle-aged man in a CDC windbreaker walking past a loading dock. Timestamp, 14 months ago. Patient 0, Crow said. Real name Raymond Ray Tillman, 54. Night shift custodian at the Southeast Regional Biosafety Lab Annex outside Athens. Contracted what looked like a severe flu on a Thursday. Reported to Atlanta Memorial ER Friday morning. Mia was the triage nurse. Mia's voice was flat. I remember him. He was burning up. Said he felt like his lungs were full of glass. We couldn't get his fever down. He coded at 3:17 p.m. Crow advanced the slide. Autopsy photo, redacted face, but the hemorrhagic staining on the chest and arms was unmistakable. Initial tox screen negative for every known pathogen, Crow continued. CDC gets involved quietly. They run deeper panels, still nothing. But someone, likely Dr. Patel at Emory, ran an off-books metagenomic sequence on the extra blood tubes Mia sent over. Came back with a chimeric filovirus, Marburg backbone, engineered glycoprotein spikes, enhanced aerosol stability, lethality dialed up to 92% in primate trials. He clicked again. Financial flow chart. Shell companies feeding into other shell companies, all funneling to a Cayman-based trust. At the top, Victor Kane, MD, PhD, former deputy director of the National Center for Emerging and Zoonotic Infectious Diseases. Now, global health consultant with a 7-figure speaking fee and a private jet. Kane doesn't just consult, Crow said. He owns the patents on the delivery vectors. He brokered the private funding. Defense contractors, pharmaceutical giants, sovereign wealth funds looking for asymmetric advantages. Eclipse was never about national security. It was about control. Release it selectively in rival cities or competitor markets. Blame nature. Profit from the vaccine they already have in cold storage. Mia finally spoke. And they're willing to kill nurses to keep it quiet. They're willing to kill anyone. Crow said, "You're just the easiest loose end right now." I leaned forward. Who else knows? Patel is already dead. Apparent heart attack 2 weeks ago. Convenient. Crow tapped the keyboard. Another slide. Contract listing on a dark web marketplace. High-value target. Female, 29, Caucasian Atlanta area. Pediatric nurse. Bonus for clean kill. No autopsy complications. 600,000 base, plus expenses. Mia stared at the screen. That's me. Crow closed the laptop. That's why you're here. Silence settled, thick as the Georgia humidity outside. I broke it first. What's the play? Crow met my eyes. We don't just protect her, we end the program. Kane is the linchpin. He holds the master seed stock, the only uncontaminated vial of the engineered strain. Destroy that and the weapon dies with it. No backups exist outside his control. He's paranoid that way. Where is it? His personal vault. Mobile Bay compound, biometric, blast-resistant, nitrogen purged. But he doesn't live like a hermit. He likes the spotlight. 3 weeks from tonight, he's keynote at the McWayne Center Gala in Birmingham. Philanthropy in the age of emerging threats. Black tie, 500 guests. Heavy security but predictable. I already hated where this was going. You want me to hit him in a crowded ballroom. I want you to get close enough to confirm the location of the seed stock, then remove him. Clean. Public assassination sends a message to the consortium. The program is burned. Mia looked between us. And me? I just sit here? Crow turned to her. You stay dark until it's done. New identity already prepped. Passport, bank accounts, relocation to Portugal if you want it. You'll never practice nursing again under your real name, but you'll be alive. She laughed once, hollow. Great. I get to disappear because I did my job. Crow didn't flinch. Better than disappearing permanently. I stood up, walked to the window. Outside, rain had started again, tapping the glass like impatient fingers. How many people know we're here? I asked without turning. 3. Me. My logistics man in the garage, and the driver who dropped the Suburban. I nodded. And after the hit, you vanish, both of you. Separate ways if you prefer. I'll handle the cleanup. I turned back. You left me for dead once. Kandahar, 2012. Operation already FUBAR. Intel said high-value target in a compound outside the city. We went in at 0200, 6-man team. 30 seconds after breach, the sky lit up. Our own Apaches raining hellfire on our position. Friendly fire, they called it later. Crow signed the order, said it was to contain a leak. The leak was us. Only 3 of us walked out. I was one. Crow didn't look away. I made a calculation. You survived it. That's why you're here now. Calculation. I repeated. Yes, Mia stood suddenly. Chair scraped. I'm not a pawn in your game. You're not, Crow said. You're the reason the game changed. She looked at me. Jax? I held her gaze. Saw the girl who used to hide under my bed during Dad's rages. Saw the woman who stitched kids back together every day without asking for thanks. I turned to Crow. We do this my way. Crow raised an eyebrow. No public hit, I said. Too many variables, too many cameras. I get inside his compound. I get the vial. I destroy it. Kane lives long enough to know why he's dying, then he doesn't. Crow considered it. Riskier for you. I'm used to risk. And if you fail, then you'll have to find another killer. Crow studied me for a long beat. Then he nodded once. You're up. My resources. Timeline stays the same. 3 weeks to prep. He stood. Bedrooms are down the hall. Weapons locker in the garage. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we start surveillance on Kane's movements. He walked out. Mia and I were alone in the room with the humming projector in the rain. She crossed her arms. You trust him? No. Then why? Because right now he's the only thing standing between you and a bullet. I paused. And because if I don't do this, they'll never stop. She looked down at her hands. I keep seeing that syringe, the way the needle caught the light. I stepped closer. You're safe here. For how long? Long enough. She met my eyes. You always say that, and I always make it true. A ghost of a smile touched her mouth. Small, sad. You're still trying to save me. Somebody has to. She reached out, touched my forearm the way I touched hers in the car. This time, she didn't flinch. I don't want you to die for me, Jax. I don't plan on dying, but you might. Then I'll make it count. She let her hand drop. I'm going to bed. She walked down the hall. Door closed softly. I stood there alone with the corkboard and the photos of dead men and living monsters. I pulled the thumb drive Crow had given me earlier from my pocket, plugged it into the laptop. Files opened, Kane's schedule for the next 30 days, floor plans of the McWayne Center, blueprints of his Mobile Bay estate, security rotations, known aliases, and one encrypted folder labeled simply, Seed Stock Protocol. I didn't open it yet. Instead, I walked to the garage. The logistics man, mid-40s, ex-ranger by the look of him, was inventorying in weapons under fluorescent lights. He glanced up. Harlan. I nodded. Show me what we got. He stepped aside. Racks of long guns, pistols, suppressors, plates, Comms gear, breaching tools, night vision. Enough to start a small war. I picked up a suppressed MK-18, checked the chamber, ran the charging handle. Smooth. Anything special for close work? I asked. He opened a Pelican case. Inside, custom Glock 19 with threaded barrel, red dot sight, extended mags, and a small vial of what looked like DMSO mixed with something darker. Neurotoxin derivative, he said, absorbs through skin. Onset 6 to 8 seconds. No antidote on the street. Kane gets a handshake, he's done before he hits the floor. I closed the case. Not yet, I said. I want him to see it coming. The man shrugged. Your call. I took the MK-18, 2 extra mags, a bench-made infidel dagger, and a set of lockpicks. Back in the house, I checked on Mia. Her door was cracked, light off, breathing slow and even. I stood there longer than I should have. Then I went to the spare bedroom, laid the rifle across the dresser, sat on the edge of the bed. Rain kept falling. 3 weeks. 3 weeks to turn a sister's accidental discovery into the end of a multi-billion-dollar death machine. 3 weeks to decide how many more people I was willing to kill. 3 weeks before, I had to look Victor Kane in the eye and decide whether mercy was still in my vocabulary. I lay back, didn't bother taking off my boots. Sleep didn't come easy. When it finally did, I dreamed of Kandahar's smoke, of Mia's face superimposed over the bodies we left behind, of a syringe glinting in the dark. And somewhere in the dream, Crow's voice, "One last job, Jax. Then you're free." I woke before dawn with the taste of a lie in my mouth because I already knew the truth. There is no last job. Not for men like me, not for men like Crow, and not for sisters who see too much. I got up, picked up the rifle, and started cleaning it, piece by piece. Methodical. The way you do when you know the clock is already ticking down. Chapter 5. Back to the present, alley behind the McWayne Center chase. My boots slapped wet pavement, each step sending jolts up my bad knee. Lungs burned like I'd inhaled battery acid. The Glock felt heavier than it should. 17 rounds left. Maybe 16, after the 2 I'd burned on the rooftop guards earlier. Rain hammered my hood, turning the world into a smeared watercolor of sodium vapor lights and brick walls. I vaulted another dumpster, landed hard, rolled my shoulder to kill the impact. Behind me, tires screeched again. 3rd vehicle now, probably the backup team Crow never mentioned. They were tightening the net. I pressed my back to a graffiti-tagged wall, chest heaving, listened. Footsteps. 2 sets. Close. I slid the suppressor off the Glock. Too much risk of a jam in this downpour. And pocketed it. Better to hear the slide rack than trust wet metal. Phone buzzed against my thigh. Burner, I answered without looking. Crow? His voice came through crackling. They found you. No shit. I kept my tone flat. You said the gala would be clean. Plans change. Tell me the new one. Target is inside right now. Victor Kane, East Wing Ballroom. He's given the closing remarks in 17 minutes. You have a window during the applause transition. Security is heaviest at the doors, lightest near the service corridors behind the planetarium exhibit. I wiped rain from my eyes. You want me to walk into a room with 500 witnesses and put one through his forehead? Silenced, subsonic. From the balcony overhang if you can reach it, or close and personal in the hallway afterward. Your call. I laughed. Short. Bitter. My call? You hung up on me 20 minutes ago when I asked for exfil. Exfil comes after the job. And Mia? A pause. Just long enough to make my stomach twist. She's secure, he said. For now. I didn't believe him. Not anymore. Change of plans on my end too. I told him. I'm not doing your public circus. I'm going to take him quiet, at his compound, like we originally discussed. Too late for that. The consortium knows you're in play. They'll move the seed stock tonight if Kane doesn't make it to the podium. Then I'll make sure he doesn't. Jax. I hung up, powered the phone off, smashed it under my heel. The footsteps were closer now. Voices, low, clipped, professional, left side covered. Thermals show 1 heat sig in the alley mouth. I moved, slipped between 2 overflowing trash bins, crouched low, Waited for the lead man to round the corner. He did. Black plate carrier, suppressed carbine, night vision monocular flipped up. I rose like smoke, drove the Glock's muzzle under his chin, thumbed the safety off. He froze. "Drop it," I whispered. He didn't. I pulled the trigger. The shot was deafening in the tight space. Crack that bounced off every brick. His head snapped back, body crumpled. The second man rounded fast, carbine up. I was already diving left. Rounds chewed concrete where my head had been. I rolled, came up firing twice, center mass, then hid. He staggered, dropped. Silence again, just rain and my pulse hammering in my ears. I stripped their comms earpieces, crushed them. Took one spare mag for the carbine, an HK416 variant, better than the Glock for distance. Slinged it across my chest. Then I started walking toward downtown Birmingham, toward the McWayne Center, toward the man who thought he could play God with viruses and money, toward the sister I wasn't sure I could trust anymore. The streets were empty and fast, rain and late hour chasing people indoors. I kept to shadows, hood up, shoulders hunched like any other soaked pedestrian. Past a group of college kids under an awning, laughing too loud. One glanced at me, then away. No recognition. Good. My mind kept circling back to the safe house in Macon 3 weeks ago. The way Mia had looked at Crow, like she was measuring him. The way she hadn't argued when he laid out the plan. The way she'd touched my arm and said, "I don't want you to die for me." But her eyes had been somewhere else. I pushed it down. Focus, one target, one trigger pull, then answers. The McWayne Center loomed ahead. Glass and steel curves lit up against the storm clouds. Red carpet still out front. Valets and yellow slickers hustling luxury SUVs. Limos lined up. Photographers under umbrellas snapping arrivals. I circled to the service side, loading dock. 2 security guards in black blazers, earpieces, hands on holstered Glocks. I waited until a catering van backed in. Used the distraction, driver yelling about a late delivery, to slip past on the blind side. Inside, fluorescent lit corridor, smell of bleach and reheated hors d'oeuvres. Cooks in whites rushing trays. I grabbed a discarded waiter jacket off a hook, pulled it on over my tack vest. It was too small across the shoulders, but it would buy seconds. Moved deeper. Past a sign, planetarium exhibit right arrow. Balcony access was supposed to be there. I found the stairwell, took it 2 at a time. Second floor, dimmed lights, dome overhead glowing with projected stars, empty except for a lone maintenance cart. I climbed the service ladder to the catwalk that ringed the upper dome. From here, I could see down into the main ballroom through a narrow viewing slit, high enough for privacy, low enough to shoot. 500 tuxedos and gowns. String quartet on stage. Victor Kane at the podium now, silver hair catching stage lights, smiling the smile of a man who believed he was untouchable. I unslung the HK416, checked the chamber, settled into prone behind a steel beam. Sight picture. Kane's head, crisp in the red dot. Finger on the trigger, then the crowd shifted. A woman in red stepped onto the stage beside him, hand on his arm, laughing at something he said. Mia, my sister, in a floor-length crimson gown, hair up, diamonds at her throat that sure as hell didn't come from a nurse's salary. Smiling, not scared, not hostage, complicit. My finger froze. The world narrowed to the crosshairs in her face. She scanned the room, slow, deliberate. Her eyes lifted. Found the balcony. Found me. She didn't flinch. She smiled wider. Then she leaned in and whispered something in Kane's ear. He nodded. Looked up too. Right at me. Security started moving, subtle at first, then faster, earpieces lighting up. I lowered the rifle, heart slamming so hard I tasted copper. Betrayal has a taste. This one tasted like blood and rust, and every promise I'd ever broken to keep her safe. I backed off the catwalk, dropped down the ladder, hit the corridor running. Alarms hadn't sounded yet, probably waiting to avoid panic. I burst through a side exit into the rain again. Sirens now. Close. I sprinted across the parking lot, vaulted a low wall, disappeared into the maze of downtown streets. Phone was gone, plan was gone, trust was gone. But the Glock was still in my hand. And somewhere in this city, my sister had just sold me out to the man who wanted us both dead. Or maybe worse, she'd sold herself to him. I kept moving, no destination, just away. Because if I stopped, I'd have to think about what came next, about walking into that ballroom and putting a round through her instead of him, about whether I could, about whether I should. The rain kept falling, Birmingham kept breathing, and somewhere behind me, the hunt was restarting, harder, faster, because now it wasn't just contractors, now it was personal, and personal hunts never end clean. I turned the corner onto 19th Street North, saw a payphone, miracle in 2025, one of the last ones still bolted to the sidewalk. I dropped quarters, dialed the only number I still remembered by heart, Mia's old landline. The one she kept even after smartphones because emergencies don't care about batteries. It rang once, twice. Then her voice, soft, calm, like she'd been waiting. Jax. I didn't waste words. Why? A long breath on the other end. Because you were always gonna die for me, she said. And I got tired of watching. Silence. Then, come to the roof of the parking deck across from the center, alone. We need to talk. Click. I hung up, stared at the receiver like it had bitten me. Then I started walking back, toward the lights, toward her, toward whatever came after trust breaks. Because some things you don't run from, you face them, even when you know facing them might kill you. Especially then. Chapter 6. The McWayne Center ballroom glittered like a trap made of crystal and money. Chandeliers dripped light across 500 black tuxedos and sequined gowns. String quartet on the raised stage played something elegant and forgettable. Vivaldi, maybe. Or one of those modern arrangements that sounds expensive. Champagne flutes clinked. Laughter rose in polite waves. I moved through it like smoke in a tux I'd lifted from the coat check 10 minutes earlier. Too tight across the shoulders, sleeves an inch short, but the black wool blended and nobody looks at waitstaff faces. I carried an empty silver tray like a shield, eyes scanning over bowed heads and diamond necklaces. Service corridor behind the planetarium exhibit. Crow had been right about that much. Security was thinner here. 2 guards at the double doors leading back to the main floor, but they were watching the crowd, not the waiters slipping past with trays of canapes. I kept my head down, tray angled to hide the outline of the Glock tucked at my appendix. Suppressor still pocketed, too bulky for this close. If it came to shooting, it would be loud and fast and final. Kane was center stage now. Mid-60s, silver hair swept back, tan that said private jet more than Alabama sun. Tailored Tom Ford, Patek Philippe glinting under the spots. Voice smooth, practiced, the kind that makes rich people feel smarter for listening. In an age of emerging threats, philanthropy isn't charity. It's strategic investment in humanity's future. We don't wait for crises. We prevent them. Applause rippled. Cameras flashed. I edged closer along the wall, using a knot of donors as cover. 20 yards, 15. Then the crowd parted just enough. A woman stepped up beside him on the platform. Red gown, floor-length silk that caught every light like liquid fire. Hair pinned up, exposing the long line of her neck. Diamonds at her ears and throat that caught fire too. Mia, my sister, not dragged, not restrained. On his arm, smiling the way she used to smile at high school graduations, at birthday dinners, at every moment when the world felt safe. She leaned in, whispered something against his ear. Kane laughed, genuine, head thrown back. Then he covered her hand with his, possessive, familiar. My blood turned to ice water. I stopped breathing for 3 full seconds. The tray trembled in my grip. I set it on a passing waiter's stack before it could fall. She scanned the room again. Slow, deliberate, professional. Not the panicked sweep of a hostage, the calm inventory of someone who knew exactly what she was looking for. Her eyes lifted. Found the balcony overhang where I'd been 15 minutes earlier with the HK-416. Then lower. Found me. standing near the service corridor, half hidden by a potted palm the size of a small tree. She didn't flinch, didn't widen her eyes, didn't mouth my name. She simply held the contact for 2 heartbeats, long enough for me to see the truth in her face. No fear, no apology, just recognition. And something colder underneath. Resolution. Then she turned back to Kane, squeezed his arm, laughed at whatever he was saying now about global resilience partnerships. Security shifted, subtle tells. One guard near the stage touched his earpiece. Another moved toward the wings. They weren't panicking yet. They were tightening. I backed up 1 step, then another, into the corridor. Door closed behind me with a soft pneumatic hiss. Fluorescent buzz overhead. Smell of industrial cleaner and cooling food. I leaned against the wall, palms flat on cold tile, trying to force air into lungs that wouldn't cooperate. 3 weeks ago in the Macon safe house, she'd said, "I don't want you to die for me, Jax." I'd believed her, believed the tremor in her voice, believed the way her hand shook when she touched my arm. Now, I replayed every moment since the parking garage, the way she hadn't asked enough questions. The way she'd gone quiet when Crow mentioned Kane's name, like she already knew it. The way she looked at the financial flowchart on the projector, not with horror, but with calculation. I slid down the wall until I was sitting on the floor, knees up, Glock resting across my thigh. Options raced through my head like rounds through a malfunctioning chamber. Option 1. Go back in. Put one through Kane's forehead from 10 feet. Accept the swarm of security. Accept that Mia might catch a stray or might not. Option 2. Walk away. Disappear. Let her have whatever deal she'd made. Let Eclipse roll out whenever they wanted. Let millions die so I didn't have to kill my own sister. Option 3. Find her. Force the truth. Decide after I heard it from her mouth. My phone was smashed. No way to text the burner she still carried, but she'd said it herself on that landline call 20 minutes ago. Roof of the parking deck across from the center. Alone. She knew I'd come. She knew me better than anyone alive. That was the problem. I pushed to my feet, wiped my face. Rain, sweat, maybe tears, didn't matter. Took the service stairs up 2 flights to the roof access. Pushed the door open. Rain again. Harder now. Wind whipping across the open deck, carrying the smell of diesel from the street below and ozone from the storm, empty except for one figure standing near the low concrete parapet. Red gown darkened by rain, clinging. Hair coming loose in wet strands, arms wrapped around herself, not for warmth, but like she was holding something inside. She didn't turn until I was 10 feet away. When she did, her face was calm. Too calm. Jax, voice soft, almost gentle. I stopped. Glock still in my hand, low but ready. "Why?" I asked. Same word I'd used on the payphone. She looked at the gun, then back at my face. "Because you were going to kill him," she said. "And I couldn't let you. Kane's the architect. You heard Crow. You saw the files." "I saw more than the files." She reached into the small clutch purse hanging from her wrist. Pulled out a folded sheet of paper, damp now, ink starting to run. Held it out. I didn't move to take it. "Autopsy addendum," she said. "The one Patel sent me before he died. The one Crow never showed you?" I stared at the paper. "Read it," she said. I stepped forward, snatched it. Rain smeared the ink, but the key lines were still legible. Chimeric construct confirmed. Marburg backbone. Inserted sequences show 99.4% homology to proprietary vector patented by V. Kane, 2018. However, secondary analysis reveals attenuation markers. Lethality reduced to 8 to 12% in human cell lines. Appears designed as vaccine vector, not weapon. I read it twice, then a third time. My hand started shaking. Mia watched me. "It's not a bioweapon," she said quietly. "It's a vaccine platform. Kane's consortium funded it to beat the next real pandemic before it starts. Fast response, plug and play. They were running human trials, low dose, controlled, on volunteers who signed NDAs. Ray Tillman wasn't murdered. He volunteered. He knew the risks. He died from an adverse reaction, not the design. I looked up. Then why the contract? Why the hit teams? Because someone leaked the early data without context. Dark web forums started calling it Eclipse, a doomsday virus. Panic spread in the wrong circles. Governments got wind. Intelligence agencies started sniffing. Kane needed the narrative controlled, needed the leaks silenced, needed people like me, who saw the blood work and asked questions, to go away quietly. Crow's playing both sides. She cut in. He's been on Kane's payroll for years, feeding intel to Langley when it suits, feeding disinformation when it pays better. He recruited you because you're the perfect fall guy. Ex-Delta burned by the agency, desperate to protect family. You kill Kane in public. The consortium gets blamed for nothing because Kane's already dead. Crow collects the bounty, and the vaccine program continues under new management. You disappear, or die trying. Rain drummed on the concrete between us. I lowered the Glock, not all the way, just enough that the muzzle pointed at the ground. You're working with Kane. I'm surviving, she said. He offered protection, new life, money, a chance to keep doing what I love. Pediatrics, research, without looking over my shoulder. In exchange, I deliver you. Tonight, on this roof. I laughed. Short, ugly sound swallowed by the storm. So, this is it. The big betrayal scene. No. She stepped closer. Water streamed down her face, mixing with whatever was already there. This is me telling you the truth before they come up those stairs. I glanced at the roof access door, still closed. For now. Why tell me? Because you're my brother. Her voice cracked on the last word. And because I'm not sure I can live with what happens if you pull that trigger on Kane tonight. Or if they pull one on you. I studied her, looked for the lie, found only exhaustion, fear, and something that might still be love. What's the play? I asked. She swallowed. We walk away. Both of us. Right now. Kane's security is waiting in the garage, 2 SUVs. They'll take us to a private airstrip outside Montgomery. Jets fueled. New passports already issued. We disappear. Crow gets nothing. The program continues, quietly, legally. No more bodies, and if I say no, then I walk back inside alone. You do what you came here to do, and one of us doesn't leave this city alive. Silence stretched. Rain kept falling. I thought about Kandahar, about the airstrike, about Crow's voice on the radio saying abort while bombs fell. Thought about Mia at 6 years old, hiding under my bed while Dad raged downstairs. Thought about the syringe in the parking garage. Thought about the autopsy addendum in my hand, ink running like blood. I raised the Glock again, pointed it at her chest. She didn't move, just looked at me, waiting. I held the sight picture for 5 long seconds. Then I lowered it. Flipped the Glock around, butt first, held it out to her. Take it, I said. She stared at the gun, then at me. Why? Because if you're lying, if this is still a setup, then you can shoot me now and save them the trouble. She reached out slowly, fingers closed around the grip. She didn't raise it, just held it at her side. I'm not lying, she whispered. Then prove it. She nodded once, turned toward the roof access door, opened it. 2 men in black tactical waited just inside. Kane's people, not Crow's. Suppressed MP5s low but ready. She spoke without looking back at me. He's with me. Stand down. They glanced at each other, then stepped aside. Mia looked over her shoulder at me. Coming? I stared at the open door, at the men with guns, at my sister holding my own weapon like it weighed nothing. I took 1 step forward, then another, into whatever came next. Because some betrayals cut deeper when they're half true, and some truths hurt worse than bullets. The door closed behind us. Rain kept pounding the roof. Alone. Chapter 7. The stairwell door clanged shut behind us with the finality of a coffin lid. Inside, the air changed. Drier, warmer, laced with the faint chemical bite of gun oil and new leather. 2 Kane security men flanked the landing, mid-30s, ex-special forces by the cut of their shoulders and the way they held the suppressed MP5Ks low but ready. No twitchy fingers. No bravado. Just calm professionals who knew exactly how many bodies they'd already dropped tonight. Mia walked ahead, my Glock still in her right hand, muzzle pointed at the concrete steps like it was an afterthought. She didn't look back, didn't need to. She knew I was following. I kept 3 steps behind, hands loose at my sides, eyes flicking between the men, the shadows, the emergency exit sign glowing red at the bottom. Every instinct screamed trap, every memory of Delta close quarters drills whispered, count exits, count bodies, count heartbeats. The lead guard, shaved head, small scar hooking the left corner of his mouth, nodded once at Mia, elevators holding on sub-level 2, SUVs fueled and clean, flight plan filed for Montgomery, wheels up in 27 minutes if we move now. Mia didn't break stride. We're moving! We descended single file. My boots echoed louder than theirs, deliberate, letting them hear I wasn't trying to be quiet, letting them know I wasn't cowed. At the bottom landing, Scarface pushed open a steel fire door. Beyond it, underground parking deck, level reserved for VIPs and emergencies. Dim orange sodium lights. 3 black Suburbans idling in a loose triangle, exhaust curling in the cool air. 2 more guards stood beside the middle vehicle, doors already open, rear hatch up, duffel bags visible inside. Mia stopped 10 feet short of the lead SUV, turned to face me. Rainwater still dripped from her hair, darkening the shoulders of the red gown. The diamonds at her throat caught the sodium glow and threw it back cold. "This is your out," she said. "Get in. We go. No more running. No more blood. You live. I live. Kane gets his program. The world gets a vaccine platform instead of a pandemic. Everyone wins except Crow." I looked past her at the open rear door. Leather seats, tinted windows, a new life wrapped in blacked out glass. Then I looked at the Glock in her hand. My Glock. The one I'd handed her on the roof because I needed to see if she'd raise it. She hadn't. Not yet. I met her eyes. "You really believe that?" I asked. "That everyone wins?" She didn't blink. "I believe it's the only path where neither of us dies tonight." Scarface shifted his weight. Subtle tell. Impatient. I ignored him. "Crow's not gonna just shrug and walk away," I said. "He'll burn every asset he has hunting us. And Kane, he'll keep you close until he doesn't need you anymore. Then you're another loose end." Mia's jaw tightened. "Better than being a corpse in a Birmingham alley." "Maybe." I took 1 step closer. The guards tensed, barrels lifted an inch. Mia raised her free hand. "Stop." They froze. "Nah." She looked at me like she used to when we were kids and Dad was screaming downstairs, part plea, part command. "Jax, please." I studied her face. Searched for the sister I'd bled for in parking garages and safe houses. Found her, buried under layers of calculation and fear and whatever deal she'd signed in blood, but still there. I exhaled through my nose. Okay. Her shoulders dropped half an inch. Relief she tried to hide. I walked past her toward the SUV. The guards relaxed fractionally. I reached the open rear door, leaned in like I was about to slide onto the seat. Then I moved, fast. Right elbow smashed back into Scarface's throat. Cartilage crunched. He gagged, staggered. I spun, grabbed his MP5K by the sling, yanked it free as he dropped. Second guard reacted. Too slow. I drove the stock into his solar plexus. Air whooshed out. He doubled. I followed with a knee to the face. Nose cartilage popped. He went down boneless. Mia spun, Glock coming up. I was already inside her guard. Left hand clamped over her wrist, twisted hard. The pistol clattered to the concrete. She gasped. Pain, shock, betrayal. I kicked the Glock under the nearest Suburban. Then I had her by the upper arms. Not gentle. "Enough," I said. Voice low, deadly calm. The 2 guards at the other vehicle started moving, carbines rising. I yanked Mia in front of me like a shield. They stopped. Smart. I spoke over her shoulder, loud enough for everyone. "Keys, now, or I start shooting and this deck becomes a slaughterhouse." One of the far guards hesitated, then tossed a fob. It skittered across the concrete. I kicked it toward Mia's feet. "Pick it up." She bent slowly, fingers trembling, closed her hand around it. I leaned close to her ear. "Get in the driver's seat. Start the engine. We're leaving. Together. But on my terms." She nodded, small, jerky. I released her arms. She walked to the driver's door, opened it, slid inside. Key fob pressed, engine growled to life. I kept the MP5K trained on the remaining guards. Back away, all of you, hands high, faces to the wall. They complied. Slow, professional, no heroics. I circled to the passenger side, never letting the muzzle drift. Opened the door, dropped into the seat, pulled the door shut. Drive, I told her. She shifted into gear. The Suburban rolled forward, past the frozen guards, past the other idling SUVs, up the ramp, out into the rain-slick streets of Birmingham. Headlights cut tunnels through the downpour, wipers thumped. Mia's knuckles were white on the wheel. Where? She asked. Voice small. South. Toward the Gulf. Somewhere we can breathe. Somewhere we can talk. She nodded. Turned onto I-65 southbound. Traffic thin at this hour. We drove in silence for 12 miles. Then she spoke. You could have killed them. I could have. Why didn't you? Because I'm not Kane, and I'm not Crow. Another mile. You think I am? I think you're scared. I think you're trying to survive. I think you made a deal with the devil because the devil had better lawyers. She laughed. Short, bitter. Maybe. I watched the side mirror. No pursuit yet. But it would come. You said it's a vaccine platform. I said. Not a weapon. It is. Then why the secrecy? Why the hit contracts? Why the dead janitor? Tillman signed waivers. He knew the risks. But when he died, the optics were catastrophic. A CDC-adjacent contractor dead from an experimental vector? Even attenuated, it looks like negligence. Or worse. The consortium panicked. They wanted containment. Crow offered them a containment specialist. I digested that. So I was supposed to be the scapegoat. Or the executioner. Either way, problem solved. I stared out at the blurring guardrails, and you were supposed to deliver me, yes? Silence again. Then I couldn't do it. I looked at her. She kept her eyes on the road. When you handed me the gun on the roof, she said, I thought about it. One squeeze, one less loose end. Kane's people take the body, clean the scene, and I disappear with a clean slate. But you didn't. No? Why? She swallowed. Because you're the only person who's ever kept his promises to me. Even when they cost you everything, I felt something crack inside my chest. Small fracture, old scar tissue giving way. I looked away. Doesn't change the fact that you sold me out. It changes everything, she said quietly. Because I'm choosing now. We passed the exit for Alabaster. Rain eased to a steady mist. I checked the rear view again. Headlights, distant, steady, company. I said. She glanced in the mirror. 2 sets. Black SUVs. Same as Kane's. Floor it. She did. The Suburban surged. Speedometer climbed past 90. The pursuing vehicles matched pace. I racked the MP5K. Checked the magazine. 30 rounds. Enough to make them regret closing. Mia's voice was steady now. No tremor. What's the plan? Get off the interstate. Find a choke point. Then their numbers. Then we disappear for real. Where? Mobile. I know a place. An old fishing cabin on the bay. Off-grid. No cameras. Crow never knew about it. Dad used to take us there before the drinking got bad. She nodded. Took the next exit hard. Tires screaming. Rural road now. 2 lanes. Dark. Pursuers followed. Closer. One pulled alongside on the left. Passenger window down. Muzzle flash. Rounds punched into the Suburban's door panel. Sparks. Mia swerved. Metal shrieked. I leaned out my window. MP5K shouldered. 3 controlled bursts. The pursuing SUV's windshield spiderwebbed. Driver jerked the wheel. Vehicle spun. Clipped the guardrail. Flipped once. Landed on its roof in the median. Second SUV accelerated. Ramming speed. I shifted aim. Fired again. Tire blew. SUV fishtailed, then straightened, limping but still coming. Turn left up ahead, I shouted. Mia yanked the wheel. Gravel road, narrow. Trees crowding in. Pursuer followed. I waited until they were committed. Then, stop, she slammed brakes. We skidded. SUV behind us locked up, too late. Rear-ended us at 40. Airbags exploded. I was already moving. Door open, rolling out. P5K up. 2 shooters spilled from the wrecked vehicle. I dropped the first with a double tap to the chest. Second dove behind their hood. Fire wild. I flanked left, used their own wrecked Suburban as cover, rounded. He spun too late. 1 round through the temple. Done. Silence. Just crickets and the hiss of radiators. I walked back to our vehicle. Mia was climbing out, dazed, blood on her lip from the airbag. You okay? She nodded. I looked at the carnage. 3 bodies, 2 wrecked SUVs. No clean way back from this. I grabbed the duffel from the rear hatch. Cash, burners, medical kits, spare mags. Tossed Mia a hoodie from the bag. Change. Red gown's a beacon. She stripped the dress right there in the dark. No modesty, just efficiency. Pulled on jeans, black tee, hoodie. Looked like my sister again. Almost. I stripped the plates off our Suburban, tossed them into the ditch, wiped prints where I could. Then we walked. South, through the trees, toward the Gulf, toward the cabin I hadn't seen in 20 years, toward whatever was left to trust. Behind us, sirens started, distant, growing. Ahead, nothing but dark road and decisions that couldn't be unmade. I glanced at Mia. She walked beside me. Not behind, not ahead, beside. For the first time in 3 weeks, it felt like maybe, just maybe, we were on the same side again. But I kept the MP5K ready. Because trust is a fragile thing, and fragile things break easy, especially in the dark. Chapter 8. The gravel road to the cabin hadn't been graded in 20 years. It was more suggestion than path now. 2 faint ruts choked with weeds, pine needles, and the occasional chunk of red Alabama clay that could snap an axle if you hit it wrong. The moon was a thin sickle behind thinning clouds. Enough light to keep us from walking into trees, not enough to make us easy targets from distance. Mia walked on my left. Hood up, hands in pockets, steps measured, quiet. The red gown was stuffed in the duffel slung over my shoulder. She wore the black hoodie and jeans like armor she didn't quite trust. I carried the MP5K across my chest, finger indexed along the frame. Every 20 paces I stopped, listened. Crickets, wind in the pines, distant dog barking 3 miles west. No engines, no rotors. Yet the cabin appeared out of the dark like a memory dragged into reality. Single-story cypress siding gone silver gray. Tin roof rusted to the color of dried blood. Screen porch sagging on one corner where termites had eaten the post years ago. Windows boarded from the inside. Dad's old hurricane prep that never got undone. I circled once. Perimeter check. No tripwires, no fresh tire tracks, no fresh boot prints. Back door was padlocked. Chain rusted but intact. I used the bench-made infidel from the duffel. Quick pry, snap of metal, chain dropped. Inside smelled like mildew, old pine, and the ghost of pipe tobacco Dad used to smoke when he thought we weren't watching. 1 main room, kitchenette in the corner, wood stove cold, 2 bedrooms off a short hall, bathroom with a clawfoot tub that hadn't seen water since Clinton was president. I flicked the light switch out of habit. Nothing. Power long cut. Mia stepped in behind me, closed the door softly. Still smells the same, she said, voice low, almost reverent. Yeah. I set the duffel on the scarred pine table, pulled out a tactical flashlight, clicked it to low red. Swept the room. No surprises. Dust thick on every surface. Mouse droppings in the corners. A single spiderweb stretched between the ceiling beams like a tripwire nobody triggered. Mia walked to the window over the sink, peered through a crack between boards. View still the bay, she murmured. Water looks black tonight. I didn't answer. I was already moving, checking corners, under furniture behind the wood stove. Old habits. Found nothing wired, nothing hidden, only memories. The spot on the floor where I'd taught her how to throw a punch when she was 9 and some kid at school was pulling her hair. The notch in the door frame where Dad marked our heights every summer. Mine always higher, hers catching up faster than he liked. The faded photo still taped to the fridge, Mom, Dad, us 2 kids on the dock, all smiling like the world hadn't started cracking yet. I looked away. Mia was watching me. "You kept this place," she said. Not a question. "Never sold it. Never told anyone about it. Not even Crow." She nodded slowly. "Good." We stood there in the red flashlight glow. 2 adults who used to be kids, surrounded by the wreckage of what was supposed to be normal. I broke the silence first. "Talk." She pulled a wooden chair out, sat, elbows on the table, hands clasped. "What do you want to know?" "Everything you didn't tell me on the roof. Everything you didn't tell me in the car. Start with the moment you decided to work with Kane." She exhaled. Long, shaky. "After the parking garage, after you got me out, after the safe house." I leaned against the counter, arms crossed, listening. Crow showed us the files, the financials, the autopsy. But he kept one folder locked, encrypted. I saw him type the password once when he thought I was asleep. Kandahar 2012. Same as the op that almost killed you. I felt the old scar on my left flank tighten. "Go on." I waited until he left the house for a meet, used his laptop, cracked the folder. Inside was correspondence, emails between Crow and Kane, dated back 18 months. Crow wasn't just on payroll, he was project security lead. His job was to contain leaks. His incentive was 7-figure bonuses tied to successful neutralization events. She paused, swallowed. There was a photo attachment. You. Surveillance shot from 6 months ago, working on that Mustang in your garage outside Birmingham. They'd been watching you the whole time, waiting for the right lever. Me. You. The perfect deniable asset. Burned operator, family ties, history with Crow. They knew if they threatened me, you'd come running. And they knew if you came running, you'd do whatever it took. I nodded once. Slow. "So you read all that. And then what?" "I copied the folder to a thumb drive, hid it in my bra while I slept. Next morning, Crow took me for a debrief walk in the woods behind the house. Told me the plan had changed, that you were too volatile, that after the hit on Kane, they were going to stage your death, make it look like you went rogue, killed the target, then ate your own gun out of guilt. Clean narrative, no loose ends." My jaw clenched so hard, I tasted blood from the inside of my cheek. "And you believed him?" "I believed he'd do it. I didn't believe you'd let him." She looked up, eyes wet but steady. "So, I made my own play. While you were in the garage checking weapons with his logistics guy, I slipped out the back, hitched a ride to the nearest gas station, called Kane's private line. Number was in the emails. Told him I had proof his program was being sabotaged by his own security chief. Told him I could deliver the saboteur in exchange for protection. For both of us." I stared at her. "You offered me up." "I offered to get you out of the kill zone." Kane agreed. Said he'd rather have a live witness who could testify if needed than another body. He sent a team to extract me that night. They staged the break-in at my apartment, made it look like an attack so you'd think I was still in danger. I killed one of them for real. Wounded another? Made it convincing, huh? The kitchen knife, the blood on her floor, the story she told me later. All theater, most of it. I pushed off the counter, walked to the table, loomed over her. "You let me think you were bait. You let me risk everything to get to that gala. You stood on that stage with him and smiled while I had a rifle on his head." Her voice cracked. "I was trying to keep you alive long enough to hear the truth. The truth is you played me. Yes." No hesitation, no excuses. I turned away, walked to the window, looked out at the black bay. Wind rattled the boards. Somewhere far off, a buoy clanged. I spoke without turning. "Did you ever intend to let me walk onto that roof and get shot?" "No." "Then why call me there?" "Because I needed you to see me with him. Needed you to see I wasn't a prisoner. Needed you to question everything Crow fed you. If I just told you in the car, you wouldn't have believed me. You'd have thought I was brainwashed or scared or lying to save my own skin." She was right. I wouldn't have. I turned back. "So now what? We hide here until they find us? Until Crow sends another team? Until Kane decides we're liabilities anyway?" Mia stood, walked to the duffel, pulled out the thumb drive she'd copied in the safe house, held it up. "This has everything. Emails, financial trails. Proof Crow was double dipping. Proof Kane's program is defensive, not offensive. Proof the hit contracts were Crow's initiative, not Kane's. If we get this to the right people, FBI counterintelligence, a trustworthy journalist, even a congressional committee, we can burn Crow without burning the vaccine work. I stared at the drive. Small black rectangle. Could end careers, could save lives, could get us both killed faster. And Kane lets us do that. Why? Because I told him if anything happens to you, the drive goes public. Automatic dead man switch, cloud backup, timed release. He knows I'm not bluffing. I almost laughed. You learned fast. I learned from the best. She meant me. The room felt smaller. I walked to the wood stove, opened it. Inside, old ash, a few dry pine cones someone left years ago. I found matches in a drawer, lit one. Flame caught, spread. Warmth pushed back the chill. I sat across from her, elbows on the table, facing my hands for a second. Then I looked up. If we do this, if we go public, there's no disappearing, no new passports, no quiet life in Portugal. We'll be witnesses, targets, forever. I know. You'll never nurse again, not under your name. Maybe not ever. No. I reached across the table, took the thumb drive from her fingers, held it. Heavy for something so small. Then we don't run anymore, I said. We finish it, she nodded. How? First we sleep, alternate watches. Then we move at dawn. Find a clean phone. Contact someone I trust. Old Delta buddy who went private sector works corporate security now. He's got channels to the bureau without going through Langley. And Crow comes last, when we're ready. When the evidence is out, when he can't spin it. She reached out, touched my wrist. Jax, I met her eyes. I'm sorry, she said. For all of it, I didn't pull away. I know. The fire crackled. Sparks drifted up the flue. Outside, the bay whispered against the pilings. For the first time in 3 weeks, the knot in my chest loosened. Just a fraction. Not gone, but looser. I stood. Take the back bedroom. I'll take first watch. She hesitated, then nodded. Walked down the short hall. Door closed softly. I sat by the window with the MP5K across my lap, stared out at the dark water. Thought about Dad, about Mom, about the boy who promised to keep his little sister safe no matter what, about the man who just learned that promise might cost more than blood, about the drive in my pocket that could change everything or end it. I clicked the flashlight off. Red glow died, only firelight now, and the slow, steady rhythm of my sister breathing in the next room. Alive. For now, I settled in, watched the night, and waited for dawn. Because dawn always brings choices, and tomorrow's choices were going to be final. Chapter 9. Word count, approximately 5,000. 2 days earlier. Mia's apartment, Atlanta, Georgia. The apartment was small, efficient, lived in. 1-bedroom walk-up on the 3rd floor of a red brick building off Ponce de Leon. Rent controlled. Neighbors mostly quiet. The kind of place you could disappear into if you wanted to. She'd come home from her shift at 11:47 p.m., showered, changed into sweats, made chamomile tea she didn't drink, sat on the couch with her laptop open to the hospital EMR system, reviewing charts she didn't need to review. Anything to keep her mind off the parking garage memory that kept replaying. The syringe glinting, Jax's elbow cracking cartilage, the way her brother had looked at her like she was still 6 and needed protecting. The burner phone Crow had given her sat on the coffee table like a live grenade. It rang at 12:19 a.m., unknown caller. She answered on the 3rd ring. Harlan's sister, the voice said. Crow, tired, clipped. They're coming for you tonight. Mia closed her eyes. How many? 3? Maybe 4. Entry team. They'll stage it as a home invasion gone wrong. You fight, they win anyway. You don't, same result. She looked at the kitchen counter. The block of knives. The cast iron skillet she used for eggs. Why tell me? Because I need you alive long enough to deliver your brother when he shows up. He's already on row. You're the bait. Stay alive until he gets here. Click. She stared at the phone. Then she moved. First, lights off. Apartment plunged into dark except for the blue glow of the laptop screen. Second, back door. deadbolt chain, chair wedged under the knob. Third, front door, same. Fourth, bedroom window, cracked open 2 inches, screen popped out, fire escape ready if she had to drop to the alley. Fifth, weapons. Kitchen knife, 8-inch chef's blade razor sharp, slipped into the waistband at her back. Skillet, heavy, black, already on the stove. She carried it to the living room, set it beside the couch. Sixth, phone, not the burner, her real one. She opened the contacts, scrolled to Victor Kane's private line, the one buried in Crow's encrypted folder. Thumb hovered. She pressed call. It rang twice. Dr. Kane. Voice calm, cultured, like he'd been expecting the call at this hour. This is Mia Harlan. A pause. Then, I've been waiting for you to reach out. She swallowed. Crow just warned me there's a team coming tonight. Said it's to keep me quiet. Said it's to draw Jax in. Another pause. And you're calling me because I read the emails. I know you're paying Crow. I know he's running both sides. And I know your program isn't what he's telling people it is. Silence stretched. Then Kane laughed. Soft, almost fond. You're smarter than your file suggests, Miss Harlan. I want a deal. I'm listening. Protection. For me. For my brother. New identities. Clean exit. In exchange, I deliver Jax to you tonight. On my terms. No kill order. No staged suicide. You get him alive. You get whatever leverage you need to neutralize Crow's play. And the vaccine platform continues without interference. Kane exhales slowly. You understand what you're asking. I understand what happens if I don't ask. Another beat. Very well. I'll send a recovery team. 2 men. Black Suburban. They'll arrive in 12 minutes. You'll let them in. You'll stage a struggle. Make it look convincing for when your brother arrives. Blood. Broken furniture. 1 body if necessary. Then you leave with them. Jax arrives, finds the scene, believes you're taken or dead. He goes after Crow. Crow goes after him. They cancel each other out. You and I disappear into the background, Mia's pulse hammered in her throat. And the thumb drive? You keep your copy. Insurance. If anything happens to you or your brother, it auto-releases to select media outlets and federal watchdogs. I've already been informed of your little dead man switch. Clever. She didn't deny it. Send your men, she said. The line went dead. Mia set the phone down, hands shaking now. She walked to the kitchen, poured the untouched chamomile down the sink. Then she waited. 12 minutes felt like 12 years. At 12:31, the knock came. 3 soft raps. Polite, professional. She moved to the peephole. 2 men. Black tactical vests under dark jackets. Faces shadowed by ball caps. She opened the door 3 inches. Chain still on. Miss Harlan. She nodded. They didn't waste words. One produced a suppressed pistol, the other a zip-tie bundle. Mia stepped back. Let's make this look real. They did. First man kicked the door wide. Chain snapped. Mia screamed. Short, sharp, authentic. She grabbed the skillet, swung hard. Caught the lead man across the forearm. Bone cracked. He grunted, dropped the pistol. Second man lunged. She dropped low, drove the chef's knife up under his ribs. Hot blood spilled over her hand. He gasped, eyes wide, collapsed. First man, arm broken, came at her with his good fist. She ducked, kneed him in the groin. He doubled. She brought the skillet down on the back of his skull. Crack. He dropped face first, unconscious, alive. Barely. Mia stood over the bodies, breathing hard, blood on her sweats, on the floor, on the walls where she'd let one spray for effect. She dragged the dead man to the hallway, left him visible from the front door. Dragged the unconscious one to the bathroom, zip-tied his wrist to the sink pipe, gagged him with a dish towel. Then she wiped her hands on a towel, changed into fresh clothes, jeans, hoodie, sneakers. Packed a small go bag, passport, real, cash, the thumb drive, phone. Wrote a single note on a post-it, stuck it to the fridge. Jax, I'm sorry. Ruth McWayne. Come alone. She left the apartment light on. Door ajar, Walked down the stairs. Out the back, black Suburban waited in the alley. Engine running. Driver didn't speak. Just opened the rear door. Mia slid in. They drove. She didn't look back. Inside her chest, something tore. Clean, surgical, irreversible. She just killed a man, staged a betrayal, sold her brother to the devil to save him from a bigger devil. And she wasn't sure which one was worse. The Suburban merged onto I-85 North, toward Birmingham, toward the gala, toward the roof where she would wait for Jax to arrive, hating her. She closed her eyes, tasted copper and regret, whispered to the dark interior, "I'm sorry, Jax." No one answered. The city lights blurred past, and somewhere ahead, her brother was already moving, fast, angry, loyal, straight into the trap she'd helped build, because love makes you do stupid things. And sometimes the stupidest thing is the only thing that keeps the people you love breathing. Chapter 10, Present. Roof of the parking deck across from the McWayne Center. Rain still falling in sheets. Wind whipping across the open concrete like it wanted to push us both off the edge. Mia stood 3 feet in front of me, my Glock in her right hand, still pointed at the ground. Kane's 2 security men waited just inside the stairwell door, silhouettes against the emergency light, MP5KS low. Eyes locked on me. Professional patience. They weren't rushing. They didn't have to. The net was already closing. I kept my hands visible, empty, no sudden moves. Not yet. You said we needed to talk, I told her, voice flat. Rain dripping off my hood into my eyes. So talk. Mia didn't blink. Water streamed down her face, carving mascara tracks like black tears. I already told you most of it. The vaccine platform, Crow's double game. The dead man switch on the thumb drive. You have the proof now. You read the addendum. You know I'm not lying about the program itself. I know what you told me. I took 1 measured step forward. The guard shifted. Barrels twitched upward an inch. Mia raised her free hand again. They froze. I'm not going to shoot you, Jax. She said it like it was obvious, like the gun was an accessory she'd forgotten she was holding. Then drop it. She looked down at the Glock, considered it for 2 full heartbeats, then bent slowly, deliberate, no suddenness, and set the pistol on the wet concrete between us. Muzzle pointed away, safety on. There, she said. Your move. I didn't pick it up. Not yet. The wind howled. A distant siren wailed somewhere down in the city. Maybe unrelated. Maybe the first ripple of the chaos we'd started in the garage. You staged the apartment, I said. The blood, the body, the note on the fridge. All to make me think they took you. To make me chase shadows while you rode off with Kane's people. Yes, you killed a man. For sure. I killed a man who was there to kill me if the show went wrong. Her voice stayed level. He drew first. I finished it. The other one's still breathing, tied up in my bathroom last I checked. Kane's cleaners will handle him, or they won't. Doesn't change what I did. I stared at her, searched for the lie, found only the same unflinching eyes I'd seen when she was 12, and told Dad she broke the living room lamp on purpose so he wouldn't hit me instead. Why the roof? I asked. Why not just disappear with him? Why drag me up here? Because I needed you to choose. She stepped closer. Close enough I could smell the rain on her skin and the faint copper of old blood under the perfume she'd worn for the gala. If I'd vanished clean, you'd spend the rest of your life hunting Kane. Hunting Crow. Hunting me. You'd burn everything down trying to save me from a deal I made myself. I couldn't let that happen, so you gave me the truth instead. Hoping I'd... What? Forgive you? Join you? Hoping you'd listen. Her voice cracked on the last word. First real fracture since the parking garage. Hoping you'd see that not every war is worth dying in. That sometimes the smart play is walking away with the people who still matter. I looked past her at the guards. They hadn't moved, but their posture said they were counting seconds. And if I say no? I asked. If I say I still want Kane's head? Crow's? Yours? She didn't flinch. Then I walked through that door. You do what you came here to do. And one, or both of us doesn't leave this roof alive. Silence stretched between us. Rain hammered the concrete, pooled around the Glock like spilled ink. I took another step, picked up the pistol, wiped rain off the slide with my thumb. Checked the chamber by feel. Still one in the pipe. Mia watched every movement, didn't breathe. I flipped the gun around, held it out to her again, but first. Take it back. Her eyes narrowed, confused, wary. Why? Because if you're telling the truth, if this is really your choice, then prove it one more time. Take the gun, point it at me, and decide. She stared at the offered grip, then at my face. Seconds ticked. Then she reached out, fingers closed around the pistol, slow, deliberate. She raised it, muzzle centered on my chest. The guards tensed, ready to move if she gave the word. Mia's arm was steady, no tremor. I held her gaze, didn't blink. Rain ran into my eyes. I didn't wipe it away. She spoke so quietly the wind almost stole it. I could do it, right now. One squeeze, they take the body. I disappear. Clean slate, no more loose ends. I nodded once. I know. Her finger rested on the trigger guard. Not inside, not yet, but I won't. She lowered the Glock, flipped it around, ejected the magazine, racked the slide. The chambered round spun out. Brass glinted once in the air before it clattered across the wet roof and disappeared over the edge. She tossed the empty pistol at my feet. It landed between us. Slide locked back, empty. There, she said. No more games, no more leverage. Just us. The guards exchanged glances. One spoke into his cuff mic, low, urgent. Mia ignored them. She stepped forward until we were less than an arm's length apart. I'm done being bait. I'm done being a pawn. I'm done letting men like Crow and Kane decide who lives and who dies. Her voice hardened. We end this. Together. The drive goes public. Crow burns. Kane's program gets scrubbed to the black budget poison, and then we walk. Both of us. Or neither. I studied her face, looked for the calculation, the angle, the final twist. Found only exhaustion. And something that might still be love. I bent, picked up the empty Glock, slid the magazine back in, racked a fresh round, safety on. Then I holstered it at my appendix. Okay, I said. Mia exhaled, shuddering breath she'd been holding too long. The lead guard stepped out of the stairwell, MP5K still low, voice calm. Ms. Harlan, extraction window is closing. We need to move, now. Mia looked at him, then back at me. Your call, she said. I glanced at the guards, 2 men, armed, trained, but not invincible. I looked at the roof access door, only one way down. I looked at my sister, then I nodded. Let's go. Mia turned to the guard. Stand down. He's with me? Full cooperation. The man hesitated, spoke into his cuff again. Quiet exchange. Then he stepped aside. Mia walked toward the door. I followed. The guards fell in behind us. Loose formation, weapons low but ready. We descended the stairs. Concrete echo. Fluorescent buzz. At sublevel 2, same parking deck. Same 3 black Suburbans. 2 now empty, 1 idling. No bodies this time, no blood. Cleaners had already been through. Mia slid into the driver's seat of the lead vehicle. I took shotgun. The guards took the middle SUV. Engine started, lights off, tinted windows up. We rolled out of the deck, into the rain-slick streets. Mia drove, steady, no rush. I watched the mirrors, no pursuit. Yet. Where to? She asked. South, Mobile Bay. There's a marina I know, private dock, no cameras. Friend of Dad's used to keep a boat there. We can hole up, make the calls, get the drive out before dawn. She nodded. We merged onto a 65 South. City lights faded behind us. Rain eased to mist. Inside the Suburban, silence again. But different this time. Not hostile, not broken, just waiting. I reached into my pocket, pulled out the thumb drive, held it between thumb and forefinger. Mia glanced over. That's it, she said. Everything. I nodded. Everything. I slipped it back into my pocket. Then I looked at her profile, lit by dashboard glow. You really think we can pull this off? I asked. No, she said quietly, but I think we have to try. I leaned my head back against the seat, closed my eyes for the first time in hours, listened to the tires on wet asphalt, listened to my sister breathing beside me, listened to the night rushing past. And for the first time since the bullet came through the windshield 3 weeks ago, I believed her. Not completely, not yet, but enough to keep going, enough to see what happened when two people who'd been played against each other finally decided to play together. The highway stretched south, dark, empty, full of possibilities, and full of people who still wanted us dead. But for now, we were moving. Together, and that was something. Chapter 11. The Suburban ate southbound miles like it was starving. I-65 unrolled ahead, straight, dark, hypnotic. Headlights carved white tunnels through the mist that had replaced the earlier downpour. Dashboard clock read 2:47 a.m. Birmingham was 30 miles behind us now. Mobile Bay still another hour and change if we stayed clean. Mia drove with both hands on the wheel, 10 and 2, like she was taking her road test all over again. Jaw set, eyes flicking between mirrors and road. No radio, no small talk, just the low hum of the V8 and the occasional hiss of tires on standing water. I sat shotgun with the MP5K resting muzzle down between my knees. Suppressor screwed back on. Fresh 30-round mag seated, safety off but finger straight along the frame. The Glock, reloaded, chambered, road appendix inside my waistband. Spare mags in cargo pockets. The thumb drive burned a hole against my thigh like a live coal. Behind us, Kane's second Suburban kept station, 200 yards back. Lights off, matching our speed exactly. Not tailing, escorting. Mia had radioed them on the encrypted handset they'd handed her when we left the parking deck. Stay back, no closer than 2 football fields. If we get hit, you're clean up. Not cavalry, they'd acknowledged. Short, professional. I didn't trust them, didn't trust Kane, didn't entirely trust Mia yet. But I trusted physics. 2 vehicles were harder to ambush than 1. And right now, numbers mattered more than loyalty. At 3:12 a.m., the first sign of trouble appeared in the rear view. A pair of headlights, high, wide set, sliding onto the interstate from the Alabaster exit ramp. Black Tahoe. No plates visible under the sodium lights. It accelerated hard, merging clean, then settled into the left lane 200 yards behind Kane's escort vehicle. Mia caught it too. Company, she said. Voice flat. Yeah, I twisted in the seat, watched. The Tahoe didn't close aggressively, just matched pace, stayed in the left lane, kept the distance. Crow's people. Had to be. He'd lost the gala play, lost the roof play, lost Mia's apartment theater. Now he was throwing everything at the board, late, desperate, angry. I keyed the handset Mia had left in the center console. Escort, rear contact, black Tahoe, 200 back, you see it? Static crackle. Then the lead guard's voice, calm, clipped. Affirmative. Thermal shows 2 warm bodies, driver and passenger, long guns visible on the dash. Options. We can peel off at the next exit, draw them away, you keep south. Mia glanced at me. I shook my head once. Negative, I told him. Stay on us. If they close, we do a rolling block. You take the hit if it comes. A beat of silence. Copy. Mia's knuckles whitened on the wheel. You sure? She asked quietly. No, but splitting now leaves us exposed. They want both vehicles burning, not just one. She nodded. We kept rolling. The Tahoe held position for 8 more miles. Then it began to close. Slow at first, closing the gap by 20 yards, 30, then 50. At 100 yards, the passenger window dropped, muzzle flash, bright orange in the dark. Rounds slammed into the rear of Kane's escort SUV. Sparks. Taillights shattered. The escort swerved, controlled, not panicked, then corrected. Their brake lights flared red. The Tahoe driver reacted, swerved left to avoid rear-ending them. That was our window. Mia floored it. The Suburban surged. Speedometer climbed past 110, engine howling. The Tahoe accelerated to match. Kane's escort vehicle slowed deliberately, creating a deliberate choke point. The Tahoe had to choose, ram the blocking SUV or swing wide into the right lane. They swung wide. Bad choice. I leaned out my window, wine tearing at my face, rain stinging like needles. MP5K shouldered, 3-round burst. The Tahoe's front right tire disintegrated, vehicle lurched hard. Driver overcorrected. It spun. Once, twice, clipped the median cable barrier, flipped onto its side, then rolled fully. Metal screamed. Glass exploded. Sparks showered like fireworks. It came to rest on its roof in the grass median, smoking, silent. Kane's escort slowed to match our speed again. No pursuit left behind. For now, Mia exhaled. Shuddering sound. Good shooting. Luck, I said. They were going too fast. Tire goes, physics does the rest. She didn't argue. We kept south. At 3:41 a.m., the handset crackled again. Escort to principal. We've got company ahead. 2 miles. 2 vehicles blocking the right lane. Construction cones. Look staged. No DOT markings. I grabbed the radio. Description: 2 black Explorers, 4 doors each. Lights off. Occupants not visible. They're angled to funnel traffic into the left lane. Single file. Ambush setup. Classic. Force us single file past them, then open fire from both sides. Mia looked at me. Take the next exit? I scanned the signs. Exit 13. Calera. Rural. Side roads. No, they'll expect that. We punch through. How? Tell your escort to ram the lead blocker on my mark. We swing right, use their wreck as cover, then accelerate clear, she related. The guard's voice came back cool. Copy. We'll take the hit. You go right. We'll cover. Mia's face was pale in the dashlight. Jax, I know. She nodded once. We closed on the blockade. 1 mile, half a mile, quarter. The 2 Explorers sat nose to tail across the right lane. Cones scattered like they'd been placed in a hurry. No construction crew, no flares. Just death waiting in the dark. Kane's escort vehicle accelerated ahead of us, pulled into the left lane, then cut right hard. Metal met metal at 70. The lead Explorer crumpled. Airbags detonated. Kane's SUV spun but stayed upright. Front end destroyed. Hood folded like paper. The second Explorer's driver panicked. Tried to reverse. Too late. Mia swung right. Tires screaming. Threaded the needle between the wreck and the guardrail. Sparks flew off the passenger side as we kissed the rail. I leaned out again. MP5K up. Fire-controlled bursts into the second Explorer's windshield. Glass spiderwebbed. Driver slumped. Passenger tried to return fire, wild shots sparking off our tailgate. I shifted aim. 2 rounds. Center mass. He dropped. We cleared the kill zone, accelerated hard. Kane's escort vehicle was smoking behind us. Engine compartment on fire now. Doors opening, guards spilling out, weapons up, covering our retreat. They'd bought us the gap. Mia kept the pedal down. We hit 120. No more headlights behind us. The interstate curved gently toward the Gulf. Mobile Bay lights appeared on the horizon, faint, scattered like fallen stars. Mia's voice was quiet. They're not coming back from that. I know. They died for us. They died for Kane's paycheck. She didn't argue. We drove another 20 minutes in silence. Then the turnoff. Mud Lake Road. Narrow 2-lane blacktop. No lights. Trees crowding in. I pointed. Here. She took it. Gravel now. The Suburban bumped and swayed. A quarter-mile in, the private marina appeared. Small dock. 3 weathered slips. 1 old Boston whaler tied up under a tarp. No lights. No cameras. No people. Mia killed the engine. We sat in the sudden quiet. Crickets, water-lapping pilings, distant boy bell. I looked at her. You ready to make the call? She pulled a clean burner from the center console, one Kane's people had given her. Nodded. I took the thumb drive from my pocket, held it out. You do it. Your insurance, your switch. She took it. Fingers brushed mine, held on a second longer than necessary. Then she plugged it into the burner's adapter, opened the cloud app, typed the release code, hit send. The progress bar crawled. 20%, 40, 60, 80, complete. She exhaled. It's out. Time dropped to 3 outlets. ProPublica, The Intercept, FBI tip line. plus a copy to my old contact at Emory. If anything happens to us in the next 48 hours, it goes wide automatically. I nodded. Now we disappear. She looked at the dark water. For how long? Long enough for the storm to pass. Long enough for Crow to burn. Long enough for Kane to realize he's safer if we stay breathing. She turned to me. And if they don't, then we finish it the old way. She smiled. Small, tired, real. Together? Together. I opened my door, stepped out into the humid night. Mia followed. We walked to the dock, untied the whaler, pushed off. Engine coughed to life on the second pull. I took the helm. Mia sat beside me. We idled out into the bay. No lights, no wake. Just black water and stars beginning to show through the thinning clouds. Behind us, the Suburban sat dark and silent. Evidence. A marker, a place we might never come back to. Ahead, nothing certain, but for the first time in weeks, the weight on my chest felt lighter. Not gone, never gone. But lighter, because the woman beside me wasn't bait anymore. She wasn't a victim. She wasn't even a sister who needed saving. She was my partner, flawed, blooded, betrayed and betrayer, but mine. And I was hers. The whaler cut through the water, toward deeper dark, toward whatever came next. And whatever came next, we'd face it the way we always had. Side by side, guns ready. Trust fragile but rebuilding. 1 mile at a time. Chapter 12. The Boston whaler cut through Mobile Bay like a black knife through oil. No running lights. Engine throttled low, barely above idle, so the exhaust bubble was more whisper than roar. The hull slapped flat water in slow, deliberate rhythm. Salt air thick with diesel and low tide. Stars sharp overhead now that the clouds had finally torn open. Mia sat forward on the bow bench, knees drawn up, arms wrapped around them. Hood still up. Face half shadowed. The red glow from the compass binnacle caught the edge of her cheek every few seconds when she turned to scan the dark shoreline. I stood at the helm, one hand on the wheel, the other resting on the MP5K slung across my chest. Wind tugged at my jacket, cold enough to keep me sharp. We'd been running dark for 47 minutes since leaving the marina slip. No chatter on the marine band, no helicopter rotors, no spotlight sweeps from the shore. Just the bay and the night and the slow burn of adrenaline finally starting to fade into something colder. Exhaustion laced with hypervigilance. I kept the course parallel to the eastern shore, staying inside the channel markers but far enough out that we were just another black shape against black water. The old fishing cabin was still 3 miles ahead, tucked behind a spit of marsh grass and live oaks on a nameless inlet Dad used to call the hidey hole. No road access, no neighbors, only reachable by water unless you wanted to wade through 200 yards of sucking mud and gators. Perfect, Mia finally spoke. Voice low enough it almost got lost in the engine hum. You'd think the drive made it out clean. Cloud servers don't care about geography. If the upload finished, it's already bouncing through proxies. ProPublica's night desk will see it before sunrise. Same with the intercept. FBI tip line auto forwards to counterintelligence if keywords hit. Bioweapon, Eclipse, Crow. They'll hit, she nodded slowly. And Kane's smart enough to know when the narrative's flipped. He'll go quiet, pull strings to distance himself, maybe even leak a little truth to muddy the waters. Experimental vaccine vector, unfortunate adverse event, rogue security chief acted without authorization. He'll survive. But the black budget side dies tonight. And Crow? Crow's finished. I said it without heat, just fact. He's got no deniability once the emails surface. His own words, his own timestamps, his own 7-figure bonuses tied to body counts. Langley will disavow him before breakfast. If he's lucky, they'll let him disappear. If he's not, they'll tie off the loose end themselves. Mia turned her face toward me. You sound almost calm about it. I'm not calm. I'm tired. I adjusted course half a degree to starboard to avoid a crab pot buoy. Tired of being the hammer. Tired of people thinking they can swing me at whoever they want. Tired of blood on my hands because someone else wrote the target list. She looked back at the water. Me too. We didn't speak again for another mile. The inlet appeared on the right, narrow cut through the marsh, barely visible unless you knew where to look. I eased the throttle back to dead slow. The engine dropped to a mutter. Hull wake flattened. I killed it completely 50 yards out, coasted in on momentum and paddle. The whaler glided silent across the glassy surface. Grass scraped the hull. Mud sucked at the keel. I dropped the little Danforth anchor off the bow. Quiet splash. Chain paid out hand over hand. We drifted to a stop 10 feet from the rickety dock. Same dock Dad built when I was 12. Same warped cypress planks. Same rusted cleats. I stepped onto the dock first. Tested weight. Solid enough. Tied off the bowline. Mia handed me the MP5K. I slung it. Then offered her my hand. She took it. Stepped up. We stood there a moment. 2 shadows on rotten wood, bay lapping at pilings, mosquitoes already whining around our ears. The cabin sat 50 yards back. Small shotgun style, tin roof. Screen porch half collapsed on one end. Cypress siding gone almost black with age. One window glowed faint orange. Firelight. Someone was inside. I froze. Mia felt it. Her hand tightened on mine. I raised a finger to my lips. Slipped the MP5K off my shoulder, safety off, muzzle low. We moved slow, heel to toe along the shell path Dad had laid years ago. Grass muffled steps, no branches to snap. At the porch steps I crouched, signaled Mia to stay low. She obeyed. I edged up the 3 steps, peered through the screen door. Inside, single room lit by a kerosene lantern on the table. Wood stove glowing. 2 folding chairs. A man sitting with his back to us. Broad shoulders, gray hair cropped military short black windbreaker. He was drinking coffee from a tin mug. No weapon visible on the table. But I knew better. I eased the screen door open, slow, no creak. Stepped inside. MP5K up. Hands where I can see them. The man didn't startle, just raised both palms slowly, mug still in his right hand. Then he turned his head. Elias Crow. Older than the last time I'd seen him, lines deeper around the eyes. But the dead coin stare hadn't changed. "Jax," he said, voice calm, almost fond. "You're late." Mia stepped in behind me, saw him, froze. Crow's eyes flicked to her. "Mia, good to see you upright." I was starting to worry Kane's people had gotten creative. I kept the muzzle centered on his chest. "How'd you find this place?" Crow smiled, thin, tired. "Your father's fishing log, the one you kept in the glove box of that old F-150 you drove before you went dark. Coordinates penciled in the margin. Hottie ho, Mia's favorite. I've had assets watching every property tied to the Harlan name since you went off-grid 3 years ago." I felt Mia shift beside me, anger radiating off her like heat. "You son of a bitch," she whispered. Crow shrugged. "Occupational hazard." I stepped closer. Drives out, emails, financials, everything. It's already in the wild. "You're done." Crow sipped his coffee. "I know." He set the mug down, very slowly. "I've been monitoring the dark pools and the journalist Slack channels. First drops hit 43 minutes ago. By morning, it'll be on every front page that matters. I'm radioactive now. Langley's already ghosting my numbers. Then why are you here?" "Because I wanted to see it through." He met my eyes. "And because I owe you an ending." I kept the MP5K steady. "Talk." Crow leaned back in the chair. Wood creaked. Eclipse was never supposed to be a weapon. Kane pitched it clean. Defensive platform, rapid response vaccine vector. DOD bought in, private money poured in. Everything above board until it wasn't. He paused. Then the first human trial went sideways. Tillman died ugly. Kane panicked, needed containment. I was already on retainer for special projects. He offered double if I could make the problem disappear. I said yes. Then the leaks started, then the dark web hysteria. Eclipse became the boogeyman. Kane needed it silenced. I needed the bonuses. You know the rest. "You sold us out," Mia said, voice shaking. "I sold you out," Crow corrected. "Jax was supposed to be the hammer. You were supposed to be the bait. Simple, clean, profitable." I felt my finger tighten on the trigger. "Why tell us now?" "Because I'm out of moves." He spread his hands. "No backup. No exfil, no leverage, just me, this cabin, and a 45 in the small of my back I'm not going to reach for. Silence stretched. The lantern flame flickered, shadows danced on the walls. Mia stepped forward. You left him to die in Kandahar. Crow nodded. I did. You would have killed us both tonight. Probably. She looked at me, eyes wet, furious. I kept the muzzle on center mass. Crow spoke again, soft. I'm not asking for mercy, Jax. I'm asking for efficiency. 1 round, clean. You walk away. Story ends. No more loose ends. I stared at him. Saw the man who recruited me at 22. Saw the man who signed the airstrike order. Saw the man who turned my sister into a pawn. Saw a tired old killer who finally ran out of board to play on. I lowered the MP5K. Not all the way. Just enough. No, I said. Crow's eyebrows lifted. Surprise. First real emotion I'd seen on his face in years. You're letting me walk? No. I stepped closer. You're going to walk yourself. Out that door. Into the marsh. Keep walking until the water's over your head. Or until something in the dark decides your dinner. Either way, you disappear. No body. No evidence. No martyr story. Just gone. Crow studied me for a long beat. Then he nodded once. Fair. He stood slowly. Hands still visible. Walked past me. Close enough I could smell the coffee on his breath and the faint copper of old blood under his jacket. Stopped at the door. Looked back at Mia. I'm sorry, he said. She didn't answer. Just stared. He pushed the screen door open. Stepped onto the porch. Into the night. We listened. Footsteps on shells. Then splashing. Then nothing. Mia let out a breath she'd been holding since he stood. I slung the MP5K, walked to the stove, added a log, flames caught, warmed the room. Mia sat at the table, put her head in her hands. I sat across from her. We didn't speak for a long time. Just listened to the fire, listened to the bay, listened to the quiet where Crow used to be. Finally, she looked up. What now? I pulled the burner from my pocket. Checked the screen. Signal weak but there. Call the only person left who might still answer. I dialed. Rang twice. A voice. Gruff, familiar, Delta old. Harlan? Thought you were dead. Not yet, Reyes. A low chuckle. What do you need? Extraction. 2 packs. Mobile Bay. Dawn. No questions. Pause. Then, copy. Coordinates? I gave them. Wheels up in 4 hours. Black Hawk. Civilian paint. No markings. Thanks. Don't thank me yet. You owe me a bottle of the good stuff. Done. I hung up. Looked at Mia. 4 hours? Then we're gone. Where? Somewhere they can't reach. New names. New start. You pick. She thought about it. Somewhere with kids who need nurses. Somewhere quiet. I nodded. Portugal still on the table? She smiled. Small. Real. Maybe. We sat there, fire crackling, bay whispering, waiting for dawn, waiting for the helicopter, waiting for the next chapter. Because endings aren't clean. They're just pauses. And we'd earned this one, together. Chapter 13, Motel 6 off Highway 98, Gulf Shores, Alabama. Dawn. The room smelled like old cigarettes, cheap bleach, and the faint metallic bite of blood that never quite washes out a cheap carpet. Single queen bed with a mattress that sagged in the middle, like it had given up years ago. Faded seascape painting bolted to the wall above the headboard. Bathroom door half open, light flickering like it was on its last breath. Curtains thin enough that the rising sun painted orange stripes across the threadbare spread. Mia slept on top of the covers, curled on her side, knees drawn up, hoodie still zipped to the chin, breathing slow and even for the first time in what felt like forever. No twitching, no sudden gasps, just sleep. Real sleep. I sat in the one chair by the window, plastic, cracked, wobbling on uneven legs. MP5K across my lap, suppressor still threaded, fresh mag, safety on but finger close, burner phone on the small round table beside me. Screen dark. No new alerts. No text from Reyes. No confirmation the Black Hawk was inbound. 4 hours until extraction. 4 hours until we left this state, this life, this mess behind. I hadn't slept. Didn't plan to. Every creak of the building settling, every car door slamming in the lot, every distant gull cry made my pulse tick up. I watched her, watched the slow rise and fall of her ribs, watched the way her fingers twitched once, like she was still holding the skillet in her apartment. Watched the faint bruise blooming along her jaw where one of Kane's men had grabbed her too hard in the stage struggle. She looked younger asleep, like the girl who used to beg me to check under the bed for monsters after Dad passed out drunk. Like the girl who cried when I left for basic at 18 because she thought I wasn't coming back. I wasn't sure she was wrong back then. I wasn't sure she was wrong now. The news app on the burner pinged once. Low battery warning more than anything useful. I tapped it open anyway. Front page of The Intercept already live. Headline: Project Eclipse. Leaked documents reveal secret D. OD-funded biodefense program gone rogue. High-level contractor implicated in targeted killings. Subhead: Emails, financial trails, and internal memos tie former CIA operative Elias Crow to multiple neutralization contracts tied to controversial vaccine vector trials. I scrolled. Screenshots of the emails we'd uploaded. Crow's signature on bonus wires. Kane's name redacted in most places, but still leaking through context. A grainy photo of Crow at a conference 3 years back. Same dead coin eyes, same thin smile. No mention of us. No Harlan, no Jax, no Mia. The dead man switch had worked clean. Timed release scrubbed our identifiers. We were ghosts in our own story. I exhaled. Long, slow. The first real breath I'd taken since the roof. Mia stirred. Eyes opened, focused on me. No panic, no disorientation, just recognition. News, she asked. Voice rough from sleep and salt air. Yeah. I turned the screen toward her. She read, scrolled, read again. When she looked up, her eyes were wet but steady. He's finished. He's more than finished. He's hunted. She sat up slowly, rubbed her face. Hair a tangled mess. And Kane, radio silence so far, but he'll pivot. Leak a controlled version, rogue actor, internal sabotage, program remains vital for national security. He'll survive. Slimed, but breathing. Mia nodded. Looked out the window at the parking lot. A single pickup idled near the office. Early fisherman, probably. Nothing threatening. She turned back to me. You didn't sleep. Not tired. Liar. I almost smiled. Almost. We've got 4 hours until Reyes lands. Then we're gone. Where? Reyes has papers waiting. 2 new identities. Passports. Bank accounts seated with enough to start over. He's got a contact in Lisbon. Safe house. Off books. We lay low there 6 months, maybe a year. After that, you pick. Mia thought about it. Somewhere with kids. Her voice softened. Somewhere I can work again. Pediatrics or teaching. Something that isn't running. Portugal has kids. She gave a small laugh. First real one in weeks. Yeah, they do. Silence settled again. Comfortable this time. Not tense. Just 2 people who'd bled together and were still breathing. I stood. Walked to the small coffee maker on the dresser, found 2 packets of grounds, started it brewing. The machine gurgled like it was dying. Mia swung her legs off the bed, stood, stretched, winced at the bruise on her jaw. You need ice for that, I said. I need a shower more. She disappeared into the bathroom. Door clicked shut. Water started running. I poured 2 cups when the coffee finished. Black for me, cream and sugar for her. The way she'd always taken it since she was 12. I carried hers to the bathroom door, knocked once. Coffee! Door opened a crack. Steam rolled out. Her hand reached through, wet fingers brushing mine as she took the cup. Thanks. Door closed again. I sat back down. Sipped mine. Burned my tongue. Didn't care. The burner buzzed. Reyes, text only. Inbound. LZ is the beach access lot 1 mile south of your motel. 0645 local. Black Hawk, civilian scheme, no markings. 2 packs only. Bring nothing hot. We'll sanitize. I typed back, copy, see you at 0645. I deleted the thread, powered the phone off, pulled the battery, tossed both pieces into the trash can under the desk. Mia came out 10 minutes later, hair wet and combed back, same hoodie, Same jeans, face scrubbed clean, bruise still purple but less angry. She took the coffee, sat on the edge of the bed, sipped. Still terrible, she said. Always is? She looked at me. Jax. Yeah. I'm not sorry, I raised an eyebrow. For what? For any of it. She set the cup down, leaned forward, elbows on knees. I killed a man. I staged a betrayal. I pointed your own gun at you on a roof. I made deals with monsters, and I'd do it again. Every single time. If it meant keeping you alive, I held her gaze. Didn't ask you to apologize. I know, but I needed to say it anyway. I nodded once. Then it said, she exhaled. Good. We sat there, drinking bad coffee, listening to the motel wake up. Doors opening, cars starting, distant waves rolling in. At 6:20 a.m. I stood. Time. Mia rose, no hesitation. We left everything. MP5K wiped clean and left under the bed. Rhea's people would collect and destroy. Glock 2, duffel emptied, only the clothes on our backs. We walked out, locked the door behind us out of habit. The lot was quiet. Sun just cresting the dunes, gulls wheeling overhead. We walked south along the beach access path, sand in our shoes, salt wind in our faces. A mile down, empty lot, no cars, no people. We waited. At 6:43, the low thump of rotors came from the east. Black Hawk, civilian paint, no tail number visible, low and fast. It flared over the dunes, settled onto the asphalt, doors slid open. Reyes, same scarred face, same easy grin. Waved us in and we ran low, heads down, Mia first. I followed. Inside, leather seats, noise-canceling headsets. Reyes already strapped in, doors closed, rotors spooled up. We lifted, banked west over the water. Gulf shores shrank below us. Mobile Bay, the inlet, the cabin, all of it falling away. Mia looked out the window, hand resting on the glass. I looked at her. She turned, met my eyes, smiled. Small, tired, real. I reached over, squeezed her hand once. She squeezed back. The Black Hawk climbed, turned south-southeast, toward the Atlantic, toward Lisbon, toward whatever came after the running stopped. And for the first time in years, maybe ever, I believed it might actually stop. Not forever, nothing stops forever, but long enough to breathe, long enough to rebuild, long enough to remember what normal felt like. The rotors thumped steady, the coast fell away, and we flew into the sunrise, together. Chapter 14. Victor Kane's compound, Mobile Bay, Alabama, late afternoon, the same day the news broke. The estate sat on a private peninsula that jutted into the bay like a middle finger to anyone who didn't have 7 figures in liquid assets. 12-foot stone walls topped with discreet razor wire disguised as ornamental ironwork. Motion sensors buried under manicured St. Augustine grass. Thermal cameras hidden in live oaks draped with Spanish moss. A single gated entrance guarded by 2 former SEALs who looked bored, but weren't. From the water, it looked like old Southern money. White columns, wraparound veranda, black shutters, a deep water dock with a 60-foot Viking yacht bobbing beside a pair of center consoles. From the air, it looked like a fortress that had decided to wear a tuxedo. I watched it from 300 yards offshore, prone on the bow of the same Boston whaler we'd taken from the marina slip last night. Camouflage tarp draped over us like a blanket. Binoculars pressed to my eyes, Mia beside me, belly down. Her own set of glass trained on the main house. We'd motored out at first light, after the Black Hawk never showed. Reyes's text at 6:50 a.m. Abort. Aerospace compromised. Too many eyes after the leaks. You're burned wider than we thought. Go dark. I'll find you when it cools. No apology, no backup, just gone. So we improvised. The whaler had a small cuddy cabin below. Enough space to stow the MP5K, the Glock, 2 spare mags each, a medical kit, and the last of the cash from Kane's duffel. We'd anchored in a shallow cut behind a spoil island, waited out the morning news cycle, then moved closer at dusk. Now the sun was bleeding orange across the bay. Shadows long, Security rotations visible. 4-man foot patrols, 2 rovers in golf carts, a sniper on the roof of the guest house who thought the Spanish moss hit him. Mia's voice was a whisper. Main house, 2nd floor, southeast corner, lights on, blinds half open. That's his study. I adjusted focus. Saw him, Victor Kane. Silver hair catching lamplight, white dress shirt, sleeves rolled, pacing in front of a wall of bookshelves. Phone to his ear, gesturing sharp, angry. Good, angry men make mistakes. I lowered the binoculars. Security's tight but predictable. Patrols every 15 minutes, rover every 20. Sniper changes position at the hour. Mia nodded. Dock's the weak point. 2 guards, rotating every 4 hours. 1 on the pier, 1 on the yacht deck. They're bored. Phone's out half the time. I looked at her. You've been here before. Twice. Once for the initial meet after the apartment. Once 3 days ago to finalize terms. Her mouth twisted. He showed me the vault. Wanted me to see what I was protecting. Nitrogen purged safe behind a false bookcase. Biometric palm print plus retinal scan. Only he has access. Seed stock vial inside. Single 10 milliliter cryogenic tube. Attenuated strain. The last clean sample. I digested that. So, we don't need him alive. We don't need him at all once the vial's gone. Plan crystallized in the silence between waves. Simple, brutal, no finesse. Contingencies. If Kane resists. Lethal force authorized. If alarm trips. Immediate retreat to the whaler. If security swarm. MP5K on full auto, cover fire, swim for it. No backup, no exfil team, no margin, just us. Mia checked her watch. Old analog diver's watch Dad gave her when she turned 16. Next patrol in 7 minutes. Rover due in 12. I nodded. We waited. 7 minutes passed. A guard walked the pier, tactical vest, suppressed carbine slung, phone in hand scrolling. I slipped into the water first. Black wetsuit we'd scavenged from a dive shop in Gulf Shores using cash. MP5K sealed in a dry bag across my back. Dive knife strapped to thigh. Mia followed. Same suit, same gear. We swam low and slow. Breaststroke, no splash. Tidal current helping us drift toward the dock. At 20 yards, I signaled. We split. I took the pier guard. Mia took the yacht deck. I surfaced under the dock pilings. Breath held. Listened. Footsteps overhead. Soft rubber soles. Phone screen glow flickered down through the cracks. I waited for him to stop. He did, leaning on the rail, texting. I reached up, grabbed his ankle, yanked hard. He pitched forward, surprised grunt cut short as he hit the water face first. I dragged him under, arm around throat, knife to kidney. Didn't need to cut. Pressure alone made him go limp. 30 seconds later, he floated face down. Still breathing, zip-tied wrists and ankles with ties from the dry bag, gagged with his own sock. I surfaced quietly, looked toward the yacht. Mia was already climbing back onto the deck, silent. Second guard slumped against the rail, neck snapped. Clean, no blood. She met my eyes across the water, nodded once. We moved. Up the dock, low crawl across the lawn, using azalea bushes and live oaks for cover. Patrol passed 20 yards left. Didn't see us. We reached the veranda steps. 2nd floor balcony above. I cupped hands. Boosted Mia. She caught the railing. Pulled herself up. Dropped a hand line. Thin paracord from the dry bag. I climbed. We crouched on the balcony. French doors. Unlocked. Inside, guest bedroom. Empty. Made bed. No luggage. We moved through the house like ghosts. Hallway. Staircase. 2nd floor corridor. Study door at the end, half open, light spilling out. Kane's voice, sharp, low, still on the phone. I don't care what Langley says. Crow's the fall guy. The program continues. Sanitize the rest. I want Harlan and his sister found by sunrise. We stepped in. I leveled the MP5K. Kane froze. Phone still at his ear. I spoke first. End the call. He looked at me, then at Mia. Surprise flickered, then calculation. He lowered the phone slowly, pressed end, set it on the desk. Jax Harlan, voice calm, almost amused. You're persistent. Mia stepped forward, voice cold. Vault! Now! Kane smiled thinly. You think destroying one vial stops anything? The data's backed up. The sequences are patented. The consortium has... I racked the charging handle, loud in the quiet room. The vial, I repeated. Kane studied us both, then sighed. Very well. He walked to the bookshelf, pressed a hidden latch. Panel swung inward, revealed a small vault door, stainless steel, digital keypad, biometric pad. He placed his palm, leaned in for the retinal scan. Beep, door hissed open. Inside, single cryogenic tube and a foam nest, clear liquid. Label, Eclipse Aten 01. Kane reached for it. I shot him in the hand, suppressed crack. Blood sprayed. He screamed, short, shocked. Dropped to his knees, clutching the ruined fingers. Mia moved fast, grabbed the vial. I covered Kane. She looked at me. Smash it? I shook my head. Too risky. Aerosolize it, even attenuated. We take it. Dump it at sea. Deep water, she nodded. Slipped the tube into a padded pouch from her suit. Zipped it tight. Kane stared up at us, pain twisting his face. You have no idea what you've done. Mia crouched in front of him. I know exactly what I've done. She leaned close. I stopped pretending I was helpless. She stood. We backed toward the balcony. Alarms hadn't sounded yet. No guards rushing, luck, or arrogance. Kane never expected his own pawn to turn. We reached the railing. Dropped the paracord, rappelled down fast. Hit grass running, across the lawn, over the dock, into the whaler. Engine started on the first pull. We reversed out, throttled up. Bay water churning behind us. Kane's compound shrank. Lights blazing now. Alarms finally screaming. Spotlight sweeping the water. Too late. We ran dark, full throttle. Toward the mouth of the bay. Toward the Gulf. Toward deep water. Mia held the pouch against her chest. I steered. Wind tore at us. Stars overhead. No pursuit boats yet. No helicopters. Just the two of us. One last vial. One last choice. 20 miles offshore, I cut the engine. Drifted. Silence absolute. Mia opened the pouch. Held the tube up to starlight. Liquid caught the faint glow. She looked at me. Ready? I nodded. She uncapped it. Poured the contents over the side. Clear liquid vanished into black water. Gone. She dropped the empty tube after it. Plop. Then nothing. We sat there, rocking gently. Mia leaned against me, head on my shoulder. I put an arm around her. Neither of us spoke. Didn't need to. The last piece of Eclipse was dissolving somewhere below 300 feet. No backups here. No resurrection. Just salt water and time. After a long while, Mia whispered, It's over. I looked out at the horizon. Not yet, but close. Closer than we'd ever been. I started the engine again, turned north, toward shore, toward whatever came after the end of the chase. And for the first time, I believed we might actually reach it. Chapter 15. Warehouse District, Mobile, Alabama. 3 hours after the vial hit the Gulf. The building was one of those forgotten 1940s brick hulks left over from when the port still shipped cotton and dreams instead of containers and debt. Rusted roll-up doors, broken windows boarded with warped plywood. A single sodium light flickering over the loading dock like it was having second thoughts about staying on. We ditched the whaler at a derelict marina 10 miles south, sunk it in 30 feet of water after stripping the cereals and wiping every surface we'd touched. Then we'd stolen a rusted-out Ford pickup from a bait shop lot. Keys in the visor, tank half full, no alarm. Drove north with the windows down, salt wind drying the bay water on our skin. Mia sat shotgun, hands folded in her lap. Quiet. Not the tense quiet of someone waiting for a bullet. The deeper kind. The kind that comes after you pour the last drop of poison into the ocean and realize the poison was never really the problem. I pulled the truck behind the warehouse, killed the engine, listened. No cars passing on the access road, no distant sirens, just the low hum of the port cranes half a mile away and the occasional slap of water against concrete pilings. I looked at her. You sure about this meat? She nodded. Dr. Patel's old research partner, Dr. Elena Vasquez. She's the one who first sequenced the samples I sent her. She's been underground since Patel's heart attack. But she still has access to the Emory secure server. If anyone can verify the vial we destroyed was the master seed and that no clean backups exist, she can. I didn't like it. Too many variables. Too many people who could still want us quiet. But we needed confirmation, needed to know the nightmare was truly over before we boarded whatever flight Reyes could still arrange. I grabbed the MP5K from under the seat, checked the magazine, slung it. Mia pulled the Glock from her waistband, checked hers. We stepped out, walked to the side door, rusted metal, padlock already cut. Someone had been here first. I pushed it open with my boot, muzzle up, low ready. Inside, cavernous space, high ceiling lost in shadow. Old wooden crates stacked like forgotten headstones, single hanging bulb swaying over a metal table in the center. A woman stood under it, mid-40s. Dark hair pulled back tight, lab coat over jeans and boots, hands visible, empty. She looked up as we entered. Harlan, voice steady, slight accent, Colombian maybe. Mia stepped forward first. Dr. Vasquez? The woman nodded. Elena, she glanced at the MP5K, then at me. You won't need that, I came alone. I didn't lower it. Prove it. She reached slowly into her coat pocket, pulled out a small USB drive, held it up. Everything Patel had before he died. Raw sequence data, attenuation markers. Confirmation the construct was designed as a modular vaccine platform, never weaponized. The chimeric elements were plug-and-play for rapid adaptation to novel pathogens. Tillman's death was an idiosyncratic immune response. Tragic. Not intentional. She set the drive on the table, stepped back. Mia walked forward, picked it up, plugged it into a burner tablet we'd bought at a truck stop. Files opened. Genomic maps, lab notes, email chains between Patel and Vasquez. She read, scrolled, read faster, looked up at Vasquez. It's real, voice soft, almost disbelieving. The master seed we destroyed, it was the only viable stock outside Kane's encrypted backups, and those backups are air-gap servers in his compound. Without the physical vial, reconstruction would take years, even if he still has the data. Vasquez nodded. He doesn't have the data anymore. We both looked at her. I've been monitoring his internal network since the leaks dropped. Tonight, after your visit, he ordered a full wipe of the Eclipse partition. Panic delete. Everything scrubbed. Logs show 0-hour overwrite. No recovery possible. Mia exhaled. Shuddering sound. Then it's gone. Gone. Vasquez confirmed. I finally lowered the MP5K. Not slung, just down. Why help us? I asked. Vasquez met my eyes because Ray Tillman was my patient too. Not just a janitor, a friend. He volunteered because he believed in the work, because he thought it could save his granddaughter from the next real outbreak. He didn't die for nothing, but he didn't die so Kane could turn it into a weapon either. She paused, and because Mia sent me those samples when no one else would listen, she trusted science over fear. I owe her that much. Silence settled. The bulb swayed. Shadows moved across the crates. Vasquez spoke again. I have one more thing. She pulled a folded envelope from her coat, set it beside the drive. 2 tickets. Atlanta to Lisbon. One way, business class. Departing tomorrow at 11:15 a.m. Names already changed. Your new passports are inside. Clean. No flags. I used contacts who owe me favors. Mia stared at the envelope. You didn't have to. I did. Vasquez's voice was firm. Now go. Before Kane realizes the wipe wasn't enough to save him. Before Crow's old friends decide to clean house. Before anyone else decides you're still loose ends. I picked up the envelope, opened it. Passports, boarding passes, a single sheet of paper with a Lisbon address. Safe house, off books, stocked. I looked at Vasquez. Thank you. She shook her head. Don't thank me. Just disappear. Mia stepped forward. Hugged her, quick, fierce. Vasquez hugged back, then stepped away. Get out of Alabama, she said, and don't ever come back. We left the same way we came. Side door, dark lot, rusted Ford waiting. Mia drove this time. I sat shotgun, envelope in my lap, MP5K between my feet. We took back roads north toward Mobile Regional Airport. No interstate, no cameras. Neither of us spoke for the first 20 miles. Then Mia said, quiet. We're really doing this. Yeah. Lisbon. Yeah. She glanced at me. You scared? I thought about it. No, a lie, but a small one. She smiled. Small, tired, real. Me neither. We kept driving. Dawn came slow over the pines, pink and gold bleeding into gray. The airport appeared ahead. Small terminal, light traffic. We parked in long term, wiped the truck, left it, walked inside. No one looked twice at two tired travelers in hoodies and jeans. Security was a breeze. New names, no metal, no history. Gate C-14. We sat side by side, watched planes taxi. Mia leaned her head on my shoulder. I lit her. The boarding call came. We stood, walked down the jetway, found our seats. Window for her, aisle for me. Engine spooled up, push back, taxi, take off, roll. Wheels left the ground. Mobile shrank below us. Bay, Gulf, Alabama, all of it falling away. Mia looked out the window, watched the coast disappear. Then she turned to me. Jax, yeah. We made it. I reached over, squeezed her hand. We did. The plane climbed, leveled off, headed east, toward Lisbon, toward quiet, toward normal, if normal still existed for people like us. I closed my eyes. For the first time in weeks, sleep came fast, deep, dreamless. When I woke, the cabin lights were dim. Mia was asleep beside me, head on my shoulder again. I looked out the window, Atlantic below, black and endless. And somewhere ahead, Europe, a new start, a life without chases, without vials, without Crow, without Kane, just us. And maybe, just maybe, enough time to figure out who we were when no one was trying to kill us. The seatbelt sign dinged off. I leaned back, closed my eyes again, and let the engines carry us forward, into whatever came next. Chapter 16, Warehouse. Mobile, Alabama. Same night, hours after the vial dissolved into the Gulf. The air inside the brick shell was thick with dust motes and the faint chemical ghost of old cargo. Motor oil, tar, mildew. The single hanging bulb above the metal table swung in slow, lazy arcs, throwing long shadows that stretched and shrank like breathing things. Elena Vasquez stood exactly where we'd left her, hands in the pockets of her lab coat now, back straight, eyes flicking between the two exits like she'd already calculated escape vectors. Mia and I had circled back, not because we didn't trust her, because we didn't trust anyone anymore. We'd parked the stolen Ford 2 blocks away this time, approached on foot through the rail yard, low, silent, using stacked containers for cover. The MP5K was still slung across my chest. Mia carried the Glock low and ready. We entered through the same cut padlock door. Vasquez didn't flinch when the hinges groaned, just turned slowly, raised both palms halfway. You're back. Not a question, a statement, almost relieved. Mia spoke first. We need to see the wipe logs yourself, not screenshots, not summaries, raw terminal output, time-stamped, hashed, verifiable. Vasquez nodded once, like she'd been expecting it. I figured you would. She walked to the far end of the table, pulled a ruggedized laptop from a nondescript black Pelican case we hadn't noticed before. Opened it. Screen lit her face blue-white, air-gapped since yesterday, booted clean, no network since the command was issued. She turned the laptop so we could both see. Terminal window already open. Kane's internal server logs, pulled via a forensic image she'd made before the wipe order went live. She scrolled. 23. 4712. Admin_Kane initiated partition Eclipse - secure wipe. 234718. 0-hour overwrite commenced, no recovery vector detected. Mia leaned closer, eyes scanning line by line. Sector mismatch. Vasquez tapped the screen. Normal in multi-pass wipes on SSD arrays. Residual magnetic domains sometimes throw false positives. He forced it anyway. Data is cryptographically dead. I studied the timestamps, cross-checked against my own mental clock. The wipe started 17 minutes after we left Kane bleeding in his study. He'd waited until we were clear of the compound, until he knew we had the vial, until he knew we were going to dump it. Only then did he burn his own backups. Mia looked up. He sacrificed the program to save himself. Vasquez closed the laptop, snapped the latches. He sacrificed the weaponized perception of the program. The attenuated platform data is still in separate civilian FDA pending servers under shell companies. Clean, defensible, marketable. But the chimeric master seed, the part that made governments and dark web forums panic, that's gone forever. I felt the tension in my shoulders loosen. Not all the way, but enough to breathe deeper. So, no resurrection. No resurrection, Vasquez confirmed. She looked between us. You two just killed the doomsday insurance policy the consortium thought they had. Kane can still sell vaccines. He can still make billions. But he can never again threaten to release something that looks like Ebola 2.0. Mia exhaled, long, shaky, almost a laugh. We did it. Vasquez gave a small, tired smile. You did. And now you need to vanish before he recalculates the cost-benefit of hunting you. She reached into the Pelican case again, pulled out 2 more items. First, a pair of new passports, different names from the ones she'd given us at the warehouse earlier. Thicker stack, multiple entry visas already stamped. Second, a slim envelope containing a single key fob. Secondary exit plan, she said. Rental car waiting at the mobile airport long-term lot. Row G, space 47, gray Toyota Camry, plates already swapped, GPS disabled, tank full, keys under the driver's side rear wheel well. I took the fob. Mia took the passports. Why 2 sets? I asked. Because Kane's security chief is still alive, hands bandaged, ego bleeding worse than the wound. He's running facial rec searches on every airport within 300 miles. The Atlanta tickets will light up like a Christmas tree if you use them. These new ones route through New Orleans. Smaller hub, less scrutiny. Flight leaves at 6:20 tomorrow. New Orleans to Mexico City. Mexico City to Lisbon. Separate bookings. Cash purchases. No digital trail. Mia flipped through the new passports. Elena. This is beyond favors. Vasquez shook her head. This is survival. For all of us. If Kane ever connects me to you, I'm next. So I'm buying distance. And peace of mind. She closed the case, locked it. Go now. Don't come back to Mobile. Don't contact me again. Don't even think my name after tonight. I met her eyes. If you ever need, I won't. She cut me off. Gentle but final. I'm already gone. She picked up the case, walked toward the far exit, the one we hadn't used. Stopped once. Looked back. Tell your sister thank you for trusting the science when no one else did. Then she was through the door. Gone into the dark. Mia and I stood there a long moment. Warehouse quiet except for the distant crane horns and our own breathing. I broke the silence. New plan? Mia nodded. New Orleans, then Lisbon. No stops, no side trips, straight through. I checked my watch. Old mechanical one that still ticked after everything. 4 hours until first flight. We drive now. We left the warehouse the way we came. Locked nothing behind us. No traces. The Ford started on the first try. Mia drove again. I navigated. Burner phone, GPS offline. Paper map from the glove box. Back roads, county lines. No interstate cameras. We didn't speak much. Didn't need to. The miles rolled under us. Dark Alabama countryside giving way to Louisiana wetlands. Swamps, cypress. Bayou water black as oil under the moon. At 4:15, we crossed into New Orleans airspace. City lights blooming ahead like spilled jewels. Found the airport long-term lot. Row G, space 47, gray Camry. Exactly where promised. Keys under the wheel well. Cold metal in my palm. We transferred nothing. We carried nothing. Just the clothes we wore. The Glock and MP5K left in the Ford trunk. Wiped, unloaded, cereals already ground off. Reyes would never get his souvenirs. We slid into the Camry, Mia behind the wheel again. I rode shotgun. Burner powered off, battery pulled. We drove to the short-term lot, parked. Walked into Louis Armstrong International, no luggage, no checked bags. Just carry-on-sized backpacks we'd bought at a Walmart off I-10. Clothes, toiletries, cash. Security again, smooth. New names, no hits. Gate B-22, flight to Mexico City. We sat at the gate, Mia's head on my shoulder, my arm around her. Boarding call. We boarded. Window for her, aisle for me. Engine spooled, pushback, taxi, takeoff. New Orleans fell away below us. Then the Gulf, then darkness over water. Mexico City lights appeared hours later, sprawling, glittering, indifferent. Layover, 3 hours. No leaving the terminal, no phone calls, just coffee from a kiosk. Quiet conversation about nothing important. Weather, food we might try in Lisbon, a future that suddenly felt possible. Second flight, Lisbon. We landed at Humberto Delgado just after 1800 local. Customs, quick. New passports barely glanced at. Outside the terminal, humid evening air. Salt breeze off the Tagus. Taxis lined up. We took the third one in line. Gave the address Vasquez had provided. Safe house in Alfama district. Narrow streets, whitewashed walls. Laundry hanging from wrought iron balconies like colorful flags. The driver dropped us at the bottom of a steep cobbled hill. We walked up. Found the door. Blue, chipped paint. Brass knocker shaped like a fish. Key from the envelope fit. Inside, small 2-bedroom apartment. Tile floors. White walls. Kitchen stocked with basics. 2 beds made. A note on the table in Vasquez's handwriting. Welcome. Rest. You earned it. Mia dropped her backpack, walked to the window, opened the shutters. Lisbon spread below. Rooftops, church domes. The river catching the last of the sunset. She turned, looked at me. Tears in her eyes, not sad. Just full. We're here. I crossed the room, pulled her into a hug. She hugged back, hard. No words. None needed. We stood there, watching the city breathe. No chase, no alarms, no vials, no Crow, no Kane, just us. And tomorrow, and the day after, and all the days we'd never thought we'd get. I kissed the top of her head. Sleep? She nodded against my chest. Sleep. We didn't bother unpacking, didn't bother eating, just kicked off shoes. Fell onto the nearest bed. Mia curled against me like she used to when nightmares woke her as a kid. I held her, listened to her breathing slow, deepen. Felt my own eyelids grow heavy. No dreams came, just darkness. Soft, safe. For the first time in years. The city hummed outside. Trams clanged. Fado drifted from somewhere down the street, and we slept deep, long. Like people who finally had permission to stop running. Chapter 17. Lisbon Safe House, Alfama District, 3 days after arrival. The apartment had started to feel like something more than borrowed space. Coffee stains on the tiny kitchen table, a half-read paperback, Portuguese translation of The Stranger, left by some previous occupant, open on the windowsill. Mia's sneakers kicked off by the door, laces still tied, ready for a quick run down to the river. My jacket hung on the back of a chair like it belonged there. We hadn't left the neighborhood yet. No tourist traps, no fiddle bars, no wandering. Just breathing, watching, waiting for the other shoe to drop. It dropped at 11:17 a.m. Burner phone, new one, bought cash from a street vendor near the Mercado da Ribera, buzzed once on the counter. Single text, unknown sender, no emoji, no signature. Warehouse footage surfaced. You're both visible. Kane offering $2 million each. Dead or alive. Advise immediate relocation. Mia read it over my shoulder. Her face didn't change, just went still. The way it used to when Dad was screaming downstairs and she knew the safest thing was silence. I set the phone down. Screen still glowing. Vasquez? She asked. Probably. Or someone she trusts. I powered it off. Pulled the battery. Snapped the SIM in half. Dropped the pieces in the trash under the sink. Mia walked to the window. Looked down at the narrow street. Women hanging laundry, kids kicking a soccer ball against a wall, old men playing dominoes on a folding table. $2 million each, she said quietly. That's not pocket change. That's serious. Kane's not playing anymore, I said. He's cornered. Program gutted. Reputation bleeding. He needs scapegoats. We're the only ones left who can tie him directly to the kills. She turned, arms crossed. So we run again? I looked around the apartment, at the life we'd had for 72 hours. No, her eyebrows lifted. I walked to the small desk in the corner, pulled open the drawer, took out the envelope Vasquez had left, still unopened beyond the passports and tickets we'd already used. Inside, one more sheet of paper, handwritten. If you're reading this, the first plan failed. Contingency B. Contact J. Carvalho, former PJ inspector, now private. He owes me. Lisbon number below. Tell him the janitor's blood was clean. He'll know. Below it, a phone number, no name, just digits. Mia read over my shoulder again. PJ, Polícia Judiciária, Portuguese equivalent of the FBI. If he's X, he's got contacts, access, leverage. You want to go to the police? Not the police. One man, one debt. She studied my face. You trust Vasquez that much? I trust that she risked everything to get us here. That's enough. Mia exhaled, nodded once. Okay. We waited until dusk. Streets quieter then, shadows longer, tourists thinning out. I dialed from a payphone near the Say Cathedral. Old coin-operated relic still working. Rang twice. Man's voice. Gravel. Tired. Portuguese accent thick but English clear. Carvalho. I spoke the phrase. The janitor's blood was clean. Long silence. Then, where are you? Alfama, near the cathedral. 20 minutes. Black Mercedes. No plates on the front. Wait by the fountain. Click. We walked to the small plaza. Sat on the edge of the fountain. Water trickling behind us. 23 minutes later, the Mercedes appeared. Slow, no headlights until it stopped. Driver's window down. Late 50s. Close-cropped gray hair, deep lines around the eyes. Suit jacket but no tie. He looked at us both. Get in. We did. Back seat. He pulled away. Smooth. No rush. No one spoke for the first 5 minutes. Then he glanced in the rear view. Vasquez said you burned a bioweapon program. Said you have proof. I nodded. She also said you'd help. He snorted. She said I owed her. Different thing. Mia leaned forward. What do you owe her? Carvalho's eyes flicked to her in the mirror. My daughter. Leukemia. Age 8. Experimental treatment. Off books. Fast-tracked through Vasquez's network. Worked. She's 19 now. Studying medicine in Coimbra. He paused. So yes, I owe her. We drove in silence again. Through Barro Alto. Past graffiti-covered walls. Past bars spilling music into the street. He pulled into an underground garage beneath a nondescript office building. Parked. Killed the engine. Follow me. We did. Elevator to the 4th floor. Hallway. Door marked Segurança Privada. Carvalho e Associados. Inside, a small suite. Desk. Filing cabinets. Wall of monitors showing live feeds from half the city. Coffee maker. No receptionist. No staff. Just him. He locked the door behind us. Gestured to 2 chairs. We sat. He sat across the desk, pulled a legal pad toward him. Tell me everything. Names, dates, locations. Proof you have. Proof you don't have. Don't lie. I don't know. We told him everything. Atlanta parking garage, Crow's safe house, the gala, the roof, the vial, the warehouse wipe, the $2 million bounty. He wrote, never interrupted. When we finished, he sat back, tapped the pen against the pad. You're radioactive. Kane can't afford witnesses. Crow's already a ghost. Rumor is he walked into the bag and never came out. But Kane's security chief is still breathing. And he's the one posting the contracts. Mia asked the question we both needed answered. Can you stop it? Carvalho looked at her. Long, measuring. I can't stop a bounty once it's live on the dark pools, but I can make it expensive. And I can make it risky. He stood, walked to a safe in the wall, opened it, pulled out a thick folder, dropped it on the desk. Kane's Lisbon fixer, name's Duarte Mendez. Runs shell companies for him here. Launders money through art auctions and property deals. Mendez knows where the remaining Eclipse data lives. Offshore servers, encrypted but not air-gapped, one physical key card in his safe. If that card is gone, the data is locked forever. I opened the folder, photos, addresses, schedules, security codes. Carvalho leaned forward. You want this to end clean. You take the key card, tonight. Mendez is at a private auction in Sintra. Small crowd, heavy security, but predictable. Mia looked at me. I looked at Carvalho. Why help us do this? Because if Kane's people find you here, they'll burn through my contacts trying to get to you. And because Vasquez asked, he slid a second envelope across the desk. New papers, Portuguese residency permits. Backdated? Clean enough to pass immigration checks for 5 years. After that, you disappear again or you stay. Your choice. I took the envelope. Didn't open it yet. Carvalho stood. I'll drive you to Sintra. Drop you 2 blocks from the venue. After that, you're on your own. Mia stood too. And if we say no, then you run forever. Or you die here. Your call. We didn't need to discuss it. We followed him out. Back to the Mercedes. Out of Lisbon. Up into the hills. Sintra appeared. Fairy tale palaces lit against the night sky, mist curling around the trees like smoke. Carvalho dropped us near the National Palace, 2 blocks from the private villa where the auction was happening. He looked at us one last time. Don't get caught. And don't come back to my office. Then he was gone. We walked. Black clothes. Hoods up. Gloves on. The villa was lit like a wedding. Warm yellow windows. Classical music drifting out. Valets in white jackets. Security in dark suits, earpieces, no weapons visible. We circled, found the service entrance around back, caterers unloading crates of wine, slipped in with them, blended. Kitchen chaos? Shouted Portuguese, steam, clanging pans. We moved through, up a back staircase, 2nd floor, hallway lined with oil paintings. Mendez's office, 3rd door on the left, locked. I pulled the lockpick set from my pocket, old Delta habit. 10 seconds. Inside, dark except for the glow of a desk lamp. Safe in the corner, biometric plus keypad. Mia pulled Vasquez's notes from her pocket. Code, July 12, 1994, his daughter's birthday. I punched it. Beep. Green light. Opened. Key card. Black plastic gold chip. Labeled Eclipse Archive. I took it. Slipped it into my pocket. We were turning to leave when the door opened. Duarte Mendez. Mid-50s, tuxedo, glass of champagne in one hand. He saw us, froze, then reached for the pistol under his jacket. I was faster, MP5K up, suppressed, single round, center mass. He staggered, champagne spilled, collapsed, quiet, no scream, no alarm. We stepped over him, out the door, down the stairs, through the kitchen, out the service entrance, into the night. We walked fast, not running, just purposeful. 2 blocks, 3, found a cab. Back to Lisbon, back to Alfama. Inside the apartment, we locked the door, triple-checked the windows. Mia sat on the bed, hands shaking now. I sat beside her, put the key card on the table between us. She looked at it. What now? I picked it up, snapped it in half, then in quarters, dropped the pieces in the sink, ran the disposal. Gone, Mia exhaled. It's really over, I nodded. Yeah, she leaned against me. I put an arm around her. We sat like that until the city quieted. No more bounties, no more vials, no more warehouses. Just 2 people in a small apartment in a foreign city, alive, breathing, free. For the first time, truly free.
Just trying to find peace, but go steady following me. Every time I close my eyes, they marching back inside of me. Endless, they still there. Just trying to find peace, back go steady following me. I drank myself to sleep, but rest don't ever find me. All I need is some love, but love don't want me. So lately I just wander the street, looking for someone to love me. All I need is some love. About the things that I seen overseas, blood on my hands, but they say I'm free. Fireworks sound like gunshots in my head. I flinch, heart race and feel close to the edge. I keep a bottle close, yeah, numb the pain, but the silence loud when I sober up again. I gave my youth to a fire in a dream, came back older, broken, missing pieces of me. I seen it.